Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free right now. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Hello, and welcome to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Petrogallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmy Wisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us again on another crazy edition of Crime and Sports. This is one of our most requested episodes we're going to do for you this week. We're going to start the new year off right, and we are going to do this. We're not... Due to a contract that we're signing very soon, we're not going to be able to take any more weeks off of Crime and Sports. We're going to have it every single week, and we're going to kick this off with, we take a holiday off here and there. We take about a quarterly sabbatical from Crime and Sports. About every 3 months or so, we take an episode off just to recharge the batteries, but not going to happen anymore. So here we go. We're going to start fast on the fast track.
Terrific.
A wild episode. We're going to do Jerry the King Lawler this week.
All right.
Everybody's heard of Jerry the King Lawler.
Wrestling, great.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys. He's been a WWE commentator for 25 years now, so He's been on TV every week. Everybody knows who he is. He's one of those guys. You've heard his voice.
Genius move of his part, being one of the first to jump into the mainstream shit with the I don't know, what do you call that? The war? The ongoing saga between him and Andy.
Well, yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Andy Kaufman and him being on mainstream TV together.
He was very, very lucky that Andy Kaufman was looking to do some wrestling stuff. But a lot of people told Andy Kaufman they weren't interested. That's the thing. A lot of promoters were like, we're not interested in that. But Memphis, we'll get into the whole thing. But first, before we get into that, just want to say, first of all, thank you for everything. Thank you for your reviews this week. Mm-hmm. Give us 5 stars on whatever platform you're listening on. And you can do that on Spotify now, we've been told. Right. So a lot of people have done that. Please get on that. It does help the show out. Also, shutupandgivememurder.com. Head there right now for everything Crime and Sports and Small Town Murder, all your merchandise, all your tickets for live shows. It's all there. One-stop shop if you like anything to do with us. Patreon.com/Crime and Sports. Such good stuff. We're back this week with some killer Patreon episodes. This is so much fun here. Anybody $5 or above, you get access to both Crime and Sports and Small Town Murders bonus episodes. Anything we put out, you are going to get. And we have some doozies this week for you. For Crime and Sports, we're going to this is a fun little series we're going to start. Just every once in a while, throwing in there a recurring one. It's called A Year in Sports Crime.
Great.
Where we are going to go over a certain year, this week, 1995, and we are going to cover all the sports arrests for that year. Newspapers would compile this, and then at the end of the year, put all the sports arrests for the year. We're going to go over it all. There's so many crazy things. It's hilarious. We'll give all of them few seconds apiece, and they're so funny. And then for Small Town Murders, we are going to talk about, again, very, very requested, we are going to talk about the JonBenet Ramsey case.
Oh,
do the JonBenet Ramsey and see what because there's some really nasty stuff there we'll try to avoid. But we're going to talk about what the hell and, why have they not caught the killers here? What's the deal with the ransom letter?
Yeah.
Is mom as weird as mom seemed? The whole thing.
Yeah.
We'll go over everything. Is dad creepy? What's happening here with these people? We'll talk about it all. The little brother theory.
Oh, boy.
It's all going to be there. All the theories, JonBenet Ramsey this week. So that's patreon.com/Crime and Sports. Get that there, and every 2 weeks you're going to get yourself a couple new episodes,
right?
And you're going to get yourself a shout out when you do that as well. Jimmy will mispronounce your name at the end of the show while trying his best to say it correctly, or you can just get the shout out on PayPal using our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com. Let's do it, Jimmy. Let's a lot of show. Let's get right into this with Jerry O'Neill Lawler.
O'Neal is a middle name?
O'Neal is his middle name.
Is he Irish?
Jerry Shaquille O'Neal Lawler here. He is the King is his nickname and what everybody has known him as for about 45 years now. It's been quite a long time with that King moniker. Date of birth, November 29th, 1949. So he might be older than you thought. One of those guys where if you're a younger fan, you might not, and I mean younger as far as like our age and below, you
That
might
man
not
was 40 in 1989.
Yeah, you might not know that before he was on WWE, what a huge exactly everybody knew he was a wrestling star, but for how long he was a wrestling star, it was a long time. So he's born in Tennessee here, but he ends up moving. His dad works for the Ford Motor Company.
Really?
Yeah, he worked. There was a plant in Memphis apparently back in the day.
Oh, he was like building them.
So yeah, apparently he was on the assembly line or something like that, or who knows what he did there, but he worked at the plant. Okay. So apparently his dad got transferred by Ford when Jerry was 7 to Lorain, Ohio. Which
that could be an assembly plant too, because they have assembly plants there.
It probably was because he still worked for Ford. He was just transferred. This explains a lot about Jerry because inexplicably, he's always has Browns stuff on. He loves the Cleveland Browns, and I was always like, what is your obsession with the he's Mr. Memphis, for 50 years, all Memphis all the time. He owned the Memphis territory, like it was all Memphis. And then he's just obsessed with the Cleveland Browns. I'm like, what is your deal? And then I found out that he moved to Ohio. When he moved there, he got really into football. Because, he moved there in the 50s when Jim Brown was a star and they were winning championships every year. So, yeah, you'd get into him.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, you move there and the team it's like moving to Chicago in 1995. You'd be a Bulls fan probably if you were a 7-year-old kid who moved there. You'd be like, this is great. We just win every year. Awesome. Fucking cool. Basketball's so much fun. Your team wins every year. And then Michael Jordan dunks on people's heads. It's great. You would love that shit.
Or a child growing up in New York fucking ever.
Well, not
You're going to be a Yankees fan.
Not in the 80s.
Solid.
You had to fight for it in the 80s when I was a kid. When I was a kid, the Mets fans made fun of us. Like it was the Mets. Let me repeat that. The Mets fans made fun of us. That's how bad the 80s and 90s, early 90s were for the Yankees. Not good. Laughing stock time. Bad stuff.
Yeah. Once Jeter came around, though, it really picked up some steam for you guys.
95, we made the playoffs, which was the first time I ever remembered that happening because I was a baby the last time it happened. And then my whole childhood, they never made the playoffs.
Forever.
And then they were good after that. But I put my goddamn time in. We did have the Giants winning 2 Super Bowls when I was a kid, but they're terrible in between those always, which is the Giant way, as you know.
But, listen, James, sometimes you got to put up with 10 years of stink when you got a 100-year dynasty.
This is what
I want to hear none of it.
That's what. Well, it didn't help me. Babe Ruth didn't do anything for me in 1986 when I wanted the Yankees to win and they sucked. That did nothing for me. It was like, shit, I want to see, something good happen. The Giants are the most frustrating team in sports to root for. In any sport, I might imagine, because they go 3-11, 3-11, 4-12, 3-11, 9-7 wild card and win the Super Bowl. 3-13. I'm sorry, 3-13, not 3-11. I meant to say fucking 5-11, but
I know
how many games are in it. But you know what I'm saying? Like that's what they do, and then they do that for a few more, then win a Super Bowl, and then suck for 5 more years. They're maddening.
You're
that
preaching
team
to the choir, son.
Yeah, they're maddening.
But Denver runs it like consecutive 3 solid great years, and then
that's what I mean.
They are just a shit-ass team.
But that's the cycle of the game. That's how it should go. Everyone but the Patriots that works with, and anyone Andy Reid is coaching, they always make the playoffs. Yeah. They always make the playoffs too because he does nothing. But that has nothing
Great
to do
coach,
with
terrible dad.
Yeah, all of his kids are pieces of shit. He might have some kids we don't know about who aren't, but any of the ones
I've
released
heard of is an awful person
into the world has done bad things. So Jerry, from 7 to 15 years old, he lives in Amherst, Ohio, and that is near Cleveland. The plant his dad worked in was the Lorain, Ohio assembly plant.
There you go.
So there you go. If you have a car from that era, maybe his dad built it. So
possible.
It's possible. Apparently, he was introduced to wrestling by his father here. His father liked watching Memphis wrestling on TV, when he was little, and he would watch it as well. He even took Jerry to some of the matches back then. We're talking in the 50s. This is when wrestling was big it was huge in the 50s, because wrestling was really like the first sport to be huge on television. It was enormous. Every Saturday night, the Dumont Network, that was like everyone in the country watched the wrestling matches. It was people didn't know it was fake yet. You know what I mean?
And in the 50s, were there gimmicks and shit, or was it just everybody looks the same?
Well, no. See, that's the thing. That's what they started in the 50s. Once television came into it, they were like, we gotta have some personality. This is
flair.
It's television. I mean, other channels, there's literally like dancing girls on, doing shows. You could watch the Rockettes on something like, we need some action going on. So that's when Gorgeous George came around. Yeah. And Gorgeous George was the first really giant wrestling character that got everyone in the country knew about him. They say that Gorgeous George was responsible for as many television set purchases as Milton Berle was. Literally, like they say, people wanted to see him get beat up. Period, because he, would come and act effeminate. Yeah. And people were like, beat that queer up. Oh, my God. They were so angry at the fact that he existed that they wanted to buy a television to watch him get punched. That's how angry they were at any effeminate qualities back then.
That's hilarious.
And if you don't know, Gorgeous George, people like James Brown and Muhammad Ali both say that Gorgeous George was like their inspiration for how they are on stage. Like that's what they started seeing as like being a showman. Yeah, Muhammad Ali says it for years and years. That's all. Gorgeous George is my idol. Wow. That was the guy I wanted to be. That's why he started talking shit. He does wrestling promos.
Right.
No one else figured that out. But
it's it's not necessarily a lack of humility or being humble at all. It's just really a braggadocious persona, I guess. Well, just really being proud of yourself.
It's also knowing that if people want to see you get punched, they buy tickets.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
He figured that out. That's.
But
that's
James Brown ran with the hardest working man in show business.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali called himself the greatest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Greatest of all time. Not
It's
just greatest.
To show some charisma, and that was before that the guys were pretty standard, and then he comes along and he's very flamboyant in terms of just not in terms of his sexuality, in terms of his like just presentation and.
Yeah.
People who saw through it and knew what he was doing were impressed by it. So it makes sense. So anyway, he'd go to the matches and became, kind of into wrestling a little bit there. But he wasn't like, didn't want to be a wrestler from the time he was 5 or any of that stuff. He was just aware of it. He really, though, got into all the Cleveland sports. He's very much into the Indians, Browns, and Cavaliers. So he's had a rough half a century or so.
Oh, shit.
It's been tough there for him, I bet. Like, even later on in the day, like when WWE would be in Cleveland, he always wears like a Browns or an Indians jersey out there to, I don't know, whatever. So he went to Treadwell High School in Memphis once they moved back there. Okay. Named after Bronco kicker David Treadwell, obviously.
Sure.
Yeah, 90s Broncos kicker David Treadwell. Yeah. They knew about him. They knew he was going to be something.
They heard tell.
So Lawler was much more interested in art always than wrestling.
Is that right?
Lawler's a really good artist. Like
he draws or paints?
Yeah, draws, and I don't know if he paints too, but he draws, and I mean, he's amazing. Like, it's not just like, oh, that guy's a pretty good artist for a wrestler. Like, fuck, that's really good art. Like, he's just a really good artist. Draws him. Bret Hart, too, also very good artist.
Is that right?
Not as good as Lawler, but, known as he would draw.
I can't wait till we have brain studies and they can find out what the fuck is that? How can people do that? Because that's a magic trick. That is unbelievable.
It is. But you know what, too? I think that's anything, though, man. People just have a proclivity for something. Yeah, I think it is, man, because people can just sit down and play the piano. Some people can just throw a baseball really hard. Some people
but how do you
know how to write a joke?
Something, and translate that through your fucking fingertips into a pen? I don't get it.
Well, how do you in your head want to have a thought there and express it to a group full of people and have them all laugh at the same time?
I don't know.
That's a magic trick, too. You know?
I just do it.
There you go. I think anyone who can draw would say the same thing. It just comes out of my pen. I just say words, and then people laugh.
I can't wait till we can unlock and find out how that's done. I want it.
I'm telling you. Oh, I would love to know.
That.
I can't draw for shit.
No.
I can't at
I'm
all.
So bad.
I'm terrible. Now, Jerry's mom, Hazel Lawler, she said, quote, when he was about 3 or 4 years old, there was this program that came on in the mornings with this teacher teaching children to draw. He would get paper and lay down in front of the TV and draw. And that's how he really got into art. He apparently, according to him, tried to get involved and got involved in what was called in the newspaper the, quote, Memphis underground hippie scene in the late 60s. I guess Memphis had hippies like everywhere else.
So he smoked some weed?
I guess. No. Weed. Jerry Lawler, to this day, says he's never, ever had a sip of alcohol.
Okay.
Or coffee.
What?
But he drinks Coke like a fiend. So it's not like he's not like against the caffeine, but never, ever had alcohol once. And I will say this, everybody listen to me right now. Listen to me. I'm not saying if you were an alcoholic and you've realized booze is bad for you, quit drinking. Good for you.
Yeah.
Anyone who has never, ever, ever even tried a sip of alcohol, I don't trust you. I don't trust you. Period.
Yeah.
I trust
for something that is fucking harmful to society.
I trust you as much as I trust people who never curse, and we've heard how I feel about that if you've listened to old shows. I feel like that's the same boat.
No swearing,
you each have
no
a paddle.
alcohol. Both, James? Can you imagine?
Oh, man. Keep your kids away from that boat. I'm just going to say that. And say that. But that's just weird to me. Like I said, I tried drinking once in high school. I didn't like it. Great. Fine. You didn't like it. Never had it touch your lips. Why?
How?
How
have you done that?
How have you done? That's just weird. Never on a toast at someone's wedding. Never just never said, yeah, I mean, that won't kill me if I take a sip of this. And to like,
you never had a goddamn anniversary with a wife or a girlfriend and had a glass of wine with her? What the fuck?
Yeah, he tends to. Well, we'll find out from the age of the women he likes. It's kind of irrelevant as far as that goes if they're in a public place anyway. Yeah. So he said though he wasn't very political. He just they were the only people who were like artsy. So. But he wasn't into the politics of the whole thing. He's not into that sort of thing. So
just wanted to exchange paintbrushes with them.
Yeah, he wasn't like really a hippie. It was just they were the only people who would appreciate art. You couldn't go show your art to the football team because they'd be like, "What are you fucking drawing?" You know, they wouldn't. They wouldn't be like, "That's really nice, Jerry. Cool."
Yeah,
you
like
know,
the shades.
Want to come to the keg party later? Oh wait, never mind. That's right. In Tennessee, they would have fucking beat the shit out of him in the woods.
Probably.
He's standing there going, "No thanks, I don't want a cup. Here's my drawing." They would have killed him. Are you kidding me? In Tennessee in 1966? What are you fucking kidding
Beer,
me?
no thanks. Look what I painted.
Yeah, no. Good Lord. Fuck. So he said that he, through friends he knew, he got a job at an underground newspaper called the Atlantis there, I guess, through friends he knew that went to Memphis State.
Why is everything he loves underground?
An underground, because it's a hippie thing in the 60s, so it's all like, you know, it's just probably one of those
subculture shit.
Yeah, just subculture stuff. There's all this stuff was huge then. This was, you know, Hunter Thompson's wall posters when he was running for mayor. He'd do these like wall poster magazines. So he said, I would do a little bit of everything. What I enjoyed doing was cartoons and caricatures, things I could do quickly and that fit in perfectly with what they wanted. Well, yeah, if that's what they want, they'll give you money and you can do it fast. That's what anybody wants out of their job. Yeah. He said, I did a little bit of political cartooning, but I wasn't into that yet. He said, I didn't know what I was doing. I would just draw what they wanted me to draw. He said, I remember doing some drawings of policemen with pigs' faces. I asked, why do you guys want me to do that for? He didn't know like that. He didn't know the hippies were like fighting with cops and stuff. He's like, I don't know. Why is that?
Face if you want, I'll put any face.
Yeah, I don't know. If I could draw it, I just can't draw. The people said too, he carried around like one of these like You know those old little joke books, like the little, 1001 insults?
What?
1001 funny insults and shit? He carried one of those around all the time. He's one of those guys. There's
he had no personality, James.
No, he doesn't. That's the thing. His personality is very much gleaned off of other shit. He's like the moon. He's just reflecting light.
Poor
That's
bastard.
all he is. Like, I really feel like that with his whole career and his whole life. It's a strange thing.
What the fuck happened?
He carries but a lot of guys would carry that around back then.
Really?
They'd want to be the quick-witted jokester guy, but that's not their personality because they just don't have that. You're either that guy or you're not, so they would carry around a joke book. There's tons of guys back then that used to carry around joke books. Yeah. Joke books, so they'd be the guy with the jokes. Hey, no, here comes Bill. He's coming in. No, Bill's fucking hilarious. You got any jokes for us today, Bill? He's like, actually, I got a good one. They want to be that guy.
That's embarrassing.
It is. They want people to like them.
But then, but what if somebody sees it?
Oh, he wasn't embarrassed by it. Everyone knew he had it. For him,
oh my God!
The fact that you memorized that stuff was as good as coming up with it on your own. To these guys, that's the problem.
That's a good point.
They weren't going for originality. They were going for here's the thing I heard and I remembered it. Pretty cool, huh?
They're not club bookers, James?
No, they're not going for... Well, they are club bookers probably then because they're not going for originality.
They don't need you to be something that doesn't exist. Just be something.
Yeah, hey, don't pressure the headliner too much. Can you just go nice and easy so they have an easy time? That's a club booker. Be followable. That's the way to go. So he said that... He was everybody said he was very funny, but who knows if that was like part of his personality or his joke books.
Yeah.
Because even something he gets in trouble with later.
I feel so bad for him, James.
You won't soon. Trust me.
I know, but as a human being, he wants to be liked so bad.
It's obvious that he really, really wants to be liked.
Yeah.
He really, really wants to be liked. And he even later on, though, with these old jokes, he gets in trouble. There's a female wrestler named Nia Jax who's she's thick, you know what I mean? She looks fucking sturdy and strong as fuck. And he said, like, if a truck hit her, it would hurt the truck or something. I don't know what the hell he said. Something to the effect that she's a brick shithouse and whatever. So people were saying he was body shaming her, and he goes, it's just an old Rodney Dangerfield joke. And it's just like, well, stop using material from 1973. That might help. And then maybe you won't get in trouble. Not that he should have been in trouble, or I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, well, why are you using old Rodney Dangerfield jokes? Without crediting Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
Say, as Rodney Dangerfield once said, there you go. Never mind. So, I'm more angry at his hackery than anything else. So
That's what it is.
So,
fuck.
His friend said, I think he was more interested in playing football than politics. Now, when he says playing football, he doesn't mean like professionally or he means as a hobby. Jerry has an obsession with softball and touch football. He loves it. He plays in organized and notebooks and joke books. He plays in organized leagues. I'm talking forever. At one point, he's in a huge money feud, making all this money, and breaks his leg playing football, touch football, and has to miss like 8 months of wrestling because he has a broken fucking leg. Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. Touch football. Yeah, he loves it. He plays in a league with uniforms and everything. It's crazy. He's got quotes about it later.
Why do we have a uniform?
We have uniforms and everything. It's really great. More major league, sorry. So 1968 comes along. Jerry is 18, 19. His dad dies at that point.
Oh, no.
So it's tough to lose your dad at that age. And he wasn't in high school sports or anything like that. So he was just doing the art thing. And now this is when he encounters wrestling, when he comes across wrestling and art cross for him in a very advantageous way. Now, there are 3 different stories. Here's the problem with wrestling. Okay, wrestling, the initial story that it was always put out would obviously be whatever serves PR the best. So that would be bullshit. Right. So that's in the lexicon now. Everyone's thinking of that. Bullshit. That's the bullshit story. So then when another story comes, it maybe mixes in with the original bullshit and forms a bullshit slurry. And then by the end, nobody knows what's true or what's false. And it's like, well, I heard this, but that was the bullshit story that came out first. And nobody knows what the hell anybody's true background is.
Right.
It's really how it works. So there are 3 different stories. I'll tell them separately.
Oh, boy.
And I tell you which one I think is true. Number 1, this is from an old newspaper, that he was a wrestling fan. So this is like the bullshit kayfabe, story we want to tell. Because the newspapers weren't in on it back in the day.
Yeah.
So, or maybe they were, but they wouldn't write it like they were. Okay. So he says that he was a wrestling fan and drew cartoon type characters of some local wrestling guys in Memphis. And that Jackie Fargo asked him to do some artwork for his nightclub that he owned. Jackie Fargo is like the most popular wrestler in the history of Memphis. Like, he's the only guy that comes close to Jerry Lawler's popularity in Memphis. Jackie Fargo was a fucking legend there.
Poor bastard. Heard of Jerry Lawler.
He's only in Memphis. That's why.
Right.
Jackie Fargo never went to announce for Vince McMahon for 25 years on national cable, unfortunately for him. So he probably had a job after he was done wrestling. Whereas Lawler has millions of dollars in the bank, so it's a little different. So this says that at the time, Lawler took wrestling classes at Memphis State. Classes? Is there classes, or is that a team?
Joined the team, they mean?
I don't know what that's what I mean. I don't know what took wrestling classes at Memphis State means. I can't
imagine.
No, I'm not doing any of the prereqs or anything like. Just the wrestling class, please. I don't know if that's a thing. So he said that he asked Jackie Fargo for some help in getting started, but he didn't, respond to him much. So Jerry says in this article, quote, I went to some rinky-dink place to wrestle. It was the Avon Theater in West Memphis, Arkansas, and probably seated 40 or 50 people. And he said that Jackie Fargo heard he was good there and then got him matches through the better promoter, which was
Avon held the Avon Theater held 40 or 50 people.
40 or 50 people, I guess.
Avon was doing great at that time.
I guess not that great. Not in West Memphis, Arkansas. No. They didn't trust
Restaurants hold more.
Most of them do. Most restaurants, Outback
holds more.
An Outback holds like 110 people. So that tells you what that is. It's half an Outback he went to wrestle in. So that's story number 1. That sounds like a total bullshit newspaper, something that the fans would believe and sounds believable.
And it's a humble beginning.
Humble beginning. Number 2, and I think this is the real one, okay, was that Jerry wanted to be a comic book artist. That was his dream. Yeah, he liked, and when you see his drawings too, he's really good at that sort of style. He's like a fucking 11-year-old. He drinks Coke. He collects toys. He,
joke book.
Has a joke book. Booze is yucky. He's like Dennis the Menace. He's got like a slingshot in his back pocket.
Right. Give this kid a slingshot and a yo-yo.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's like I don't know what the hell kind of weird. He's never grown up, which these are the, I don't know how to say this. These are when you see people like this, exactly like this, not with some form of fun still, or, I like a couple of, because I like some weird childhood shit too, but
yeah. All childhood interests is not good.
That's what I mean, and it usually denotes a bit of a creepy.
Yeah.
Usually denotes a creepy personality under that.
So through all my therapy, James, because there was sexual abuse in my childhood and in my house, I am convinced that the people that perpetrate shit like that had something that happened to them in their childhood and therefore regress to the childhood that they feel they were robbed of, and they see themselves still as a child. No, they could be 65 and just still see themselves as a child.
Well, yeah,
it's
you
so
get
fucked
stalled.
up.
Well, they get stalled in that. That's the problem. Their
brain is just frozen at that age, and they can't move past it.
And that's very possible, because that's just, I don't want to get too much into psychology,
right.
but
I don't know that that's a fact, but through all my therapy, that's
the psychological theory is a lot of that. So I don't know if maybe that's I obviously we can't do that. We don't know what happened in 1958 to Jerry. Who knows? Who knows if somebody at the Ford plant had a couple too many beers and fucking got a little wandery with his fingers. I don't know.
Tired of building Mustangs?
We have no clue what's going on. Tired of busting out the Corvairs and needed to do something else. Is that a Ford? That's not a Ford. That's
rear
not a
engine
Ford.
Chevy. That's a sweet car. They were recalled because they explode.
Yeah. That's the Ralph Nader car.
Yeah, it's a bad car.
That's the one he got recalled. So he liked drawing. I guess he would draw cartoon pictures of the wrestlers when he would go see them at Ellis Auditorium. He would do sketches like a courtroom sketch artist, but do them of the wrestlers in action. So they were pretty cool, I guess, colorful and that sort of shit. So in high school, he sent some of these pictures to Lance Russell. Lance Russell is the longtime legendary announcer for Memphis wrestling. He's like the voice of Memphis wrestling, and people in Memphis, fucking older people, they go nuts for Lance Russell. They love him. Mm-hmm. So he's the host of the Saturday morning TV show, the announcer, all that shit. That Saturday morning TV show was the highest rated show they had in the whole city of anything.
Is that right?
Yeah, everybody watched it every Saturday morning. It was a big deal. So apparently Lance Russell shared some of the drawings with the wrestling crowd and then called Jerry and asked Jerry if he would kind of come in on the nights of the matches on Monday nights and, be like a courtroom artist, essentially. Would you make these pictures of the wrestlers while they're wrestling? Will you draw them up? Sketches.
Okay.
Which was right up his alley. It's just what he wanted to do. Quick sketches that he liked, of shit he liked. So I guess at that point, Jackie Fargo noticed the pictures and he called Lawler up. Lawler later said about getting a phone call from Jackie Fargo, quote, "My head exploded. Jackie Fargo was like Elvis at the time, especially for a wrestling fan."
Hell yeah.
I would think only for a wrestling fan. If you didn't like wrestling, you wouldn't know who the fuck he was.
Right.
Who's this scraggly-looking lunatic jumping around like a maniac?
And Elvis, and they're in Memphis. That's a nice little link.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a big deal for a Memphisite to say that. Is that what it is? A Memphisonian? A Memphisite?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Memphophile?
Memphophile? Let's hope not. Let's hope it's not a memphile.
It's a memphile.
Memphile. It doesn't sound good. So in this story, Fargo hired Lawler to create artwork for the inside of a steakhouse that he owned with country singer Eddie Bond. Do you know who that is?
No.
He's got to be old because this is 1971.
He doesn't play today.
No, he's got to be dead by now, I'm sure.
I'm sure he was a big deal back then.
Probably. I guess that gave Lawler got a series of jobs doing artwork for different places. Other people saw it, say, "Hey, that picture's really cool. Where'd you get that?" "This kid drew it for me." "Well, fuck that. Can he draw one for me?" So making like murals and stuff for their walls, and he was doing that. So somehow he got a job as I guess Eddie Bond had a radio station, a small radio station in Memphis. So he got a job as a DJ on a radio station there, young kid. And then he would apparently, I guess, promoted wrestling on the show. And eventually, somehow that led to getting a shot at wrestling, actually, and getting trained.
Awesome. That's a genius move.
Yeah, and he was trained by Jackie Fargo. And that's the thing. Back then, you couldn't just show up at the place and be like, "I want to be a wrestler." Mm-hmm. They'd be like, "Go fuck yourself," number one. Right. And if you really came back every day, they'd be like, "Okay, come on in, wrestle with that guy." And then they'd have somebody beat the living shit out of you and twist your arms behind your head for 10 minutes until you were broken. And then they'd be like, "Still want to be a wrestler?" And no, and they kick you out. That's what they did back then. So
it's like smoking cigarettes where they make you smoke a whole pack.
Yeah, you're going to smoke a whole carton.
Yeah, thanks. Now I'm addicted.
Now, perfect. Now I can't stop. Thanks a lot. I don't want to smoke anymore, but I have to now. Before I just wanted to. Now I have to, and I don't even want to. Thank you. You've progressed my habit 25 years. In a matter of a day and a half.
What a fascinating way of teaching somebody a lesson.
I don't understand that. That makes no sense to me.
You want to smoke? I'm going to make this part of your life forever.
Yeah. You want ice cream? I'm going to give you all the ice cream. Then you'll see how much you like ice cream. Okay. Sure.
You could do that with nothing else.
It's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
It's fucking wild.
Well, yeah. Well, I found a little, what is this, cocaine I found in here? I'm going to get you a kilo. You sit in the closet. We'll see how much you like cocaine then. 45 minutes later, there's knocking on the closet door. "Hey, is there any more out there?"
Really like
Shit.
more.
I think we fucked up. "Martha, I think we've made a mistake. The boy wants more." He wants more.
Behind the closed doors of government offices and military compounds, there are hidden stories and buried secrets from the darkest corners of history. From covert experiments pushing the boundaries of science to operations so secretive they were barely whispered about. Each week, on Redacted, Declassified Mysteries, we pull back the curtain on these hidden histories. 100% true and verifiable stories that expose the shadowy underbelly of power. Consider Operation Paperclip, where former Nazi scientists were brought to America after World War II, not as prisoners, but as assets to advance U.S. intelligence during the Cold War. These aren't just old conspiracy theories. They're thoroughly investigated accounts that reveal the uncomfortable truths still shaping our world today. The stories are real. The secrets are shocking. Follow Redacted, Declassified Mysteries on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Redacted early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
a big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud,
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
So that's how he ended up doing it there. And apparently there was another... Here's story number 3. He's working as a disc jockey, so skip all the other stuff. Yeah. And that got the attention and his artistic ability of a local promoter. And then they made an agreement that Lawler would give free publicity on the radio show in exchange for being trained as a wrestler. So this is what I was saying. Is like back then you had to have a back door into the business. Yeah. You had to be like, oh, I played college football with a guy who's a wrestler. So he would get you in because you're a big guy and you worked out together. Or somebody from the gym, or your dad was a wrestler, or, you know, like Jim Cornette came around when he was 8 and took pictures for fucking years for them until they ended up giving him a job as a manager eventually. Like that's how a lot of
comedy too.
Yeah, that's exactly how comedy is. Wrestling and comedy are insanely similar in that regard.
Hang around taking pictures, and then they're like, "Can you tell jokes?"
Eventually, if there's like an open mic, and if you're good, you'll get a shot. You know, that's the thing. If you're good, and you have to be ready and be good, which most people aren't. Same as wrestling.
It's got to be the second story, because the third story of like good, being on the radio and they recognize his artistic ability. The thing is about radio, not really a visual medium.
Well, I guess from the radio, then they also found out he was an artist. But the original story the second story makes the most sense because Jackie Fargo trained him. So he ended up training him, so I assume Jackie Fargo got him into business all around and trained him. That makes the most sense. So 1971, he's in the wrestling business. He's wrestling in Memphis, wrestling on Saturday morning TV that he's been watching, besides his little escapade to Cleveland there. He's been watching his whole life. He gets married. Oh. Things are going well for him, so he gets married. Yeah, young, but that's normal in 1971 in the South. That's 22 is a perfectly reasonable age to get married then.
Right.
So he marries a woman named Kay. So Michael Corleone's wife, Kay.
Right. Yeah.
And anyway, so he's wrestling, and he starts out as a heel, actually. Oh. Jerry does. He's a bad guy for a while here. And here's some newspaper quotes from him later on. He says, wrestling fans are very fervent. Now, he's still kayfabe here. He's still bullshitting the papers, but he's talking about being a bad guy, so this is actually a legitimate statement that he's making. He said, if they like you, there's nothing they won't do for you. If they don't like you, there's nothing they won't do to you. And he says, like earlier in his career, he said 4 straight weeks he had a windshield broken while in Louisville. Because they used to do... Back then, these southern territories back then were weekly. So you were in the same town every week.
Yikes.
Every Monday you're in Memphis. Every Tuesday you're in Louisville. Every fucking, Wednesday you're in Knoxville. That's how they would do it. Wow. So can you imagine that? Imagine as a comedian having to do a show every single week in the same fucking town like that. It would be brutal and especially knowing that it's a lot of the same people are there. It's the same crowd. So you'd have to do new shit every week. Like that would be fucking exhausting. Jerry,
I mean, and there was a time in Texas where that was a thing where you'd go like San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, Houston, and this
that
loop.
Fucking loop.
Yeah, once a month you're in a different club, and that seems exhausting.
That little bicycle,
you're spending somewhere for a weekend.
Yeah, this was just every week, same place, and it was hard on, and that's why people would go to different territories because you can't show people the same shit every week. It's crazy to be able to, be popular somewhere and sell tickets somewhere when they see you every fucking week.
Right.
So Jerry Lawler did that for over 20 years in Memphis.
Wow.
Being the most popular draw at these places for weekly events, which is
stunning.
It's impressive. That's how much they loved him down there. It's absolutely crazy. So he said, they would break windshields, and that was normal back then. If they found out what the heels drove, slash their tires, break their windshields, follow them out of town. There's countless stories of heel wrestlers having to pull guns on people. They were, people trying to run them off the highway.
Jesus.
They would have to someone would have to pick them up in the back, and they'd have to lay down in the back seat so no one could see them to get out of the arena alive. People were serious back then. You fucking cheated Dusty Rhodes, and they'd want to fucking kill you because you cheated Dusty Rhodes. How crazy is that? You know how many guys got stabbed back then?
That's amazing too, because you just watched the man fight. Like nobody follows Mike Tyson out of somewhere because
I'm gonna kick your fucking ass.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just watched him fight. I don't want a piece of that.
That's how crazy these people are.
Wow.
And most of the time, the ones that do this are like back then down here, I'm talking, were like the real, and these are like crazy backwoods people, a lot of them too. So they're not used to doing things with lots of people in society. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So they have a whole other issue because that's Jim Cornette used to say that all the time. These people would come with fucking overalls and no shirts and shit on and, want to fight the heel managers. And he's like, what the fuck, dude?
Kids rode a cow to this.
that happened from the New Jack episode. Yeah. They fucking rode cow. He's like, there was a goddamn cow.
Slapped it on the ass and went in the building.
It was a donkey.
Back home.
A donkey, I think.
A donkey,
it was a donkey, or the kids riding donkeys up to it. That's what was going. And in the early 70s, it was even worse.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the 80s, there's tons of stories of Cornette that tells about having to pull guns and having people chase them with bats and all this crazy shit. And every single old-timey wrestler that wrestled in the 60s and 70s has that story about that one time they got stabbed. It happens. They all got stabbed. Huge guys.
Every single one of them has seen a gun at a wrestling room.
Oh, absolutely. Bobby Heenan, they shot at him in the fucking arena.
Yeah, right.
They shot at him in the arena. They had to fucking shut the show down for gunfire. That's how angry he made people.
It's awesome.
So he said, Lawler said, we were just to the point where people just despised us. We had to park 6 blocks away and take a cab. People just didn't like me. Mm-hmm. So that's great. That means you're real successful.
You're doing it.
The farther away you have to park from the arena as a heel back then, the better you are. That's what that means.
I'm amazing. I parked in a town over.
Oh, man. Are you kidding me? I had to take the train in. I'm the best. I had to take the train in wearing a disguise. I'm the best. That's what it was, though. So in 1974, he started a big feud with Jackie Fargo, who this is the big, every wrestling territory has this feud. This is the Bruno Sammartino, Larry Zbyszko feud. It's the mentor. It's the mentee turning on the mentor. The beloved older mentor who's given everything and helped to bring this young person along, and now this young person wants to slash out on their own and attack their mentor.
Student can beat the teacher, James.
And so everyone hates the student because he's disrespectful and all this shit. So this is how they did all of this. And Lawler ended up winning the Southern Heavyweight Champion, the NWA Southern Heavyweight Championship from Jackie Fargo. And this is when he took the moniker the King. So he would say, I'm the king of wrestling. Started wearing the fucking crown, which to this day he still has.
Still wearing it.
Still wearing the crown. It worked for him. I mean, can't say shit.
And it's the red crown with like the white thing and the black speckles in the white thing, right? You know the crown I'm talking about?
It's the crown, with the four metal things. Yeah. It's the typical wrestling crown. They've had the same crown. Every wrestling king has worn the same crown since the beginning of time.
It's the prom king crown.
It's exactly it. It's you're the most handsome 17-year-old we have. We have this for you. To denote that.
Put this on.
Put this on. And stand next to the prettiest 17-year-old girl we could find. So he becomes the king, and after this, he has another couple of feuds and finally becomes a babyface, because in wrestling, you can only be a bad guy for so long if the fans hate you that passionately.
Yeah.
Eventually, it will turn to love. It just has to.
Yeah.
It sounds strange, but it's like a romantic comedy where if people meet and hate each other and argue, that means they're gonna fuck by act 2. They have to, because there's too much passion there.
Yeah.
But wrestling,
find out you really love her, Vince Vaughn.
That's what it is. But a wrestling crowd really actually does that. They actually, if they hate someone to a certain point, you have to turn them. There's no other choice. Think about Rowdy Piper in the 80s. People wanted to murder him, and then when they turned him good guy, it was like that. They just were waiting for the opportunity. Jake the Snake Roberts in the 80s was the same way. All through wrestling, they've done this with people. It's a thing. It's very weird.
Fascinating, too, because hate drives you further than love.
Yeah, that's what it does. As we see, people don't, chase someone for miles trying to run them off the road if they love them.
Yeah.
They might try to get an autograph. They leave, they're getting in the car, and they're like, oh, we missed him. They don't get, and they're like, get in the car!
Right.
Get your gun out! Come on! Like, no one has that much passion if you like somebody. So, it's different. So, it's the same thing with if the guy is a beloved guy, super, baby face forever, if he does something horrible enough, the way they turn, the way the crowd will hate them because they gave them so much love. Now they hate them so much more. It's like, it works. When Hulk Hogan turned bad with NWO.
Hated.
He fucking dropped that leg on Savage. Yeah. The crowd went back. The ring was filled with garbage. That didn't happen in the 90s yet. At that point, that was crazy. People actually were like, "Fuck you! Are you kidding me?
How dare you make us love you?
I bought $100 worth of red and fucking yellow shit for my kid right before this happened. Are you kidding me now?
We're in a
Fuck
black bandana now, you fucking jerk."
That's what happens. So, 77, I'm not going to talk about all of Jerry Lawler's feuds. We'll touch on a couple of the big ones, but the wrestling stuff, it's just too much. There's just too much of it to touch on. So we'll touch on the big things and kind of talk more about him being the promoter, because he, in 77, Jerry Jarrett breaks off from Nick Goulas. This was they were co-owners of the NWA territory there in Tennessee. Jerry Jarrett breaks off and takes Memphis for himself. So Jerry Jarrett, his kid is Jeff Jarrett, who you might know from forever. So Jerry is the promoter, and Jerry's a really smart promoter too. Jerry's the guy, when Vince McMahon was on trial for steroids in the 90s, he brought Jerry in as his guy to say, if I go to jail, you be the conduit between this place and me in prison, and fucking, he's got the, how to run a territory and shit. So you run this, and, through me, basically, in prison. But so anyway, he breaks away. Jerry Lawler's the biggest star. So the only way he can truly break away is if he takes Jerry Lawler with him. Because otherwise, he just takes some of the mid guys and goes over there. Nobody cares. So what he does is he makes Jerry Lawler the owner with him. So he offers him, me and you will own the territory if you come with me, which is taking a big chance, and but they do it, and it becomes a huge moneymaker for both of them. I mean, Jerry Lawler and Jerry Jarrett make untold fortunes off of Memphis. They're famous for paying the wrestlers nothing.
Is that right?
Memphis is famous. It's probably the most famous for paying absolutely nothing. Memphis is everybody's first territory. Like, everybody from like the 70s and 80s, whenever they say, where'd you start? It's always first started in Memphis, because that's the place where they would start anybody. It's the weirdest thing. Like every big wrestler started in Memphis because they'd give him a shot. It was just one of those deals. If you sent them pictures, they'd give you a call.
Yeah, because that's the minimum wage place.
They didn't pay shit, so they didn't care.
It's the fast food of wrestling.
Yeah, they didn't pay anything, so they didn't care. They had to, they were looking for new people because people would quit all the time. Once you got there, you were looking for a better paying job. And they had long car trips you'd have to make too, so it wasn't an easy place to work. We're talking like in the 80s, guys would make $25 in a night.
Oh, my.
And that's to drive 200 miles somewhere. Drive 200 miles, wrestle, drive 200 miles back home, or if it's too late, stay in a hotel there, eat food, do all that shit for $25.
The privilege.
That's what I mean. There'd be 6 guys sharing a motel room. They didn't have... It's Steve Austin, because his first territory was Memphis, like everybody else. Steve Austin, people tell a story about him of walking in his apartment, and he was peeling potatoes like an old-time army movie. He just had his kitchen full of a pile of potatoes, and they were like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He's like, "It's all I can afford." And that's all he could eat was potatoes. So he was just eating mountains of potatoes because he didn't have there was nothing else, no food.
Stunning.
Jim Cornette always tells the story in the 90s when Memphis kind of teamed up with WWF. They tell Jerry Jarrett came in and told all the guys, "Now listen, we're teaming up with WWF, so y'all better not be doing them steroids. Y'all better, because they might test you, so you better all make sure you're not on them steroids." And one of the wrestlers said, "Jerry, with what you're paying us, we're not even on food. The hell are you talking about? Of course we're not on steroids. We can't afford steroids.
We can't afford protein."
Yes, we're not on food, Jerry.
We're on potatoes, you asshole.
So and this territory made a lot of money.
Wow.
So the money went somewhere, and that is to Jarrett and Lawler's big giant fucking houses that they lived in. So that's how this worked. So this is the Continental Wrestling Association, CWA. Will be that for a while. So that's and the other promotion ends up folding in 1981, and CWA ends up going on for a long time. Memphis is like the last territory alive, by the way, after WWE wipes everybody out. They're the last stronghold of a place where the fans, it's so ingrained there that they just love it, and they still were coming. So the late 70s, oh baby, and I'm going to have a couple of these recordings, by the way. Late 70s, Jerry makes some recordings, some music.
Oh, boy.
He makes some music, Jimmy.
Yeah.
2 singles. One is called Cadillac Man / Memphis.
That song exists already.
Yep. And then the other one's called Bad News, which could be...
Also exists already.
I was going to say numerous different ways. Now, I have some ones, when we get to the 80s one that pops up, I'll play a few of these songs for Jimmy and everybody else, and it's going to be a lot of fucking fun here. We're going to have a good time with this shit. So, by 1978, he divorces Kay.
Oh.
The woman he married there in 71. They get a divorce. Jerry switches it up every 7-8 years. That's just kind of how he rolls. That's how he rolls.
Yeah.
Reset. And, I don't know. I'm not going to... I don't know, obviously. I'm not there, but it seems like they age out of contention for him.
Oh.
It's like, well...
Traded in for the new model? Is that what it is?
Yeah, he's a new model kind of guy. Yeah, new model kind of guy. So, 1979, he beats superstar Billy Graham for the Memphis World Championship again. What he would do is there'd be some big badass heel that would come in. He'd lose the belt to this guy. This guy's indestructible. How could anybody possibly beat him? And then there'd be this big struggle to come back, and then Jerry would end up winning the title from that guy, and then that guy would leave the territory. So they just cycle in the heel for him to fight. And that's kind of how every territory did it with their top guy. But Memphis did it like that forever. And also
same game.
Same game. It's the same thing. Well, every movie is the same. Same formula.
Yeah.
You know,
Still buy them.
Yeah, every wrestling match.
You got to see what the Rock dresses up as this time.
But it's the same formula. At 20 minutes is a plot point. It's the end of Act 1. There's a twist has to happen right here. Right. It's the same formula. It's the same thing.
But how hot is she? And will the Rock get to kiss her, James? I need to know.
That's it. Well, they say like every wrestling match is the same formula too, with like a couple of things maybe switched up a bit, but it's shine, heat, comeback, finish, which is. Good guy shows how good he is. Bad guy cheats, shows how bad he is. Beats the shit out of the good guy. Makes you think a good guy can't come back. Good guy makes a comeback, but it's cut off somehow. And then whatever crap they have for the ending, that's the ending. Yeah. That's how it works. A screenplay is essentially set up the same way.
Yeah.
Character's a good person. Oh, no, he's getting shit on. Oh, boy, what are they going to do now?
Yeah.
They figure it out. Oh, that almost worked, but it didn't. How do we plunge past it to the end? That's the same thing. So Jerry Lawler's a good comeback guy.
Okay.
And that's the thing. There's a few of these. To be a great baby face that lasts forever, you have to have a great comeback, which is you've been beaten down. They've put the heat on you. They fucked you up and kicked your ass for 10 minutes, and you were, your arm out to the audience, and oh, my God. And now you don't even care how hurt you are. The anger, the adrenaline, the pure energy of the people is flowing through you to the point where you must either hulk up or, fucking do your Jerry Lawler, pull the singlet down thing that he does. He would take the strap off his shoulder, and that meant it's comeback time for Jerry Lawler. And he would punch you with his beer gut that he doesn't drink beer, with his Coke gut.
That's what they did to us with The Fast and the Furious, James. Every movie's the same. It's just, why is Paul Walker's car not run this time? Give him a new car. He'll outrun somebody.
Man, Paul Walker. If Paul Walker only had a faster car, that's
what it is.
It's the first 3 minutes of every movie. Oh, yeah. Paul Walker's car just needs to be a little faster.
A little faster. One more boost in nitrous.
Yeah. That's it. And here comes some chick and Vin Diesel, and they'll help.
Here comes Vin Diesel with the car that he needs, and he's like, wow, if only I had that car.
I got your car. I got your car.
Good thing I got these steel blue eyes. Can I borrow that?
I got your car if you need it. Okay.
Let's compare abs, Vin. Somehow more dudes will love these movies than the chicks.
Weird, right?
It's fucking unbelievable.
Oh, man. So, fuck Jerry Lawler. So, 1980, Jerry Lawler, he's feuding with the Fabulous Freebirds, and that's when he breaks his leg playing touch football. And screws up this hot angle that they have that's just, they're going to be printing fucking money here. They've built it all up, breaks his leg, it's over.
He's still playing touch football. What a
he'll play through the 90s, man. He's just so into it. Softball, too. Loves softball. Many pictures in the paper of him hitting softballs. And does a lot of charity softball events, too, where him and a bunch of wrestlers will play a local team, and then all the proceeds can go to fucking whatever the hell. He's done that a lot.
There is nothing funnier than an adult who comes to work in a cast with torn meniscus because they love softball so much. You are 48. Stop it.
Oh, man. My poor friend tore his leg apart on the where the Diamondbacks play on the field. I don't know, what is it called now?
Chase Field?
Is it Chase still? I didn't know if they changed it since not yet. Earlier in the year. So
give us some time.
At Chase, we were both employees. He slid into third base and absolutely obliterated his fucking leg. It went the other direction. It was fucking disgusting. It's on video. And we're talking all the white collar fucking Diamondbacks employees are on the field. Oh, Jesus Christ, they run over there. They're not allowed to have that game anymore. That was the last one. He ruined it for everybody. He didn't even sue or anything. He wasn't like that. No, he wasn't. He's like, I was fucking playing. I fucked up. If we did it in a park, I would have fucking broken in a park. What's the difference?
If we're not playing this ever again anyway because of this horrible injury, we may as well sue.
Right? It's a baseball team. They're insured, right?
They've got some money, I think.
So, man, but breaks his leg that way. So,
damn it.
He, later on, he says that he's still more interested in football and baseball than just about anything but art. It's still what he loves. Later on, he just loves it. He talks about his love of Cleveland sports. He also says that he doesn't do a lot to stay in shape. Okay. And you can tell by looking at him.
His midsection's it's soggy.
He just looks like somebody's stocky dad.
Right.
Who works at the dock or something, you know what I mean?
Looks tough,
he's
looks
beefy.
like he drinks a lot of beer.
Looks like a shot in a beer guy down at the season 2 Baltimore The Wire Docks bar. That's what he
Yeah.
He's one of the guys putting a shot down so Ziggy's fucking duck can drink it.
Right.
That's what he looks like.
Yeah.
Body-wise.
Yeah.
He's hairy. He's about 234 pounds, and he says he kind of stays the same shape. Doesn't work out, he says.
Not at all?
Not really working out. He said he just wrestles and plays softball and touch football. Doesn't really work out. Just that's it. He says, quote, I love softball in the summer and fall and touch football in the winter. That's one thing they know. This is later on. It's one thing they know in the WWF. They can't book me on Thursdays in the summer because I'm playing softball. And in the winter, they can't book me on Sundays because I'm playing football.
This is why he broke his leg, because if you trained, it wouldn't be so soft.
That's the thing. Yeah, you should probably maybe train a little bit here. Maybe do some of those, squats and
do some wall sits. I don't know.
Just leg lifts.
Yeah.
He says he plays first base on the softball team and quarterbacks his football team. He's the quarterback, of course. He says, quote, I quarterback in football only because it's my team. They probably can find a better quarterback, but I pay the entry fee and buy the uniforms. So they have to let me play quarterback.
I carry this team, so I'm playing quarterback.
That is fucking hilarious. 1982 comes along, and he marries a woman named Paula now. So he's going to do that and get married again. He's ready. This is the time the Andy Kaufman thing starts up, too, 1982.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know where to start. I'm going to assume... Do we have to introduce who the fuck Andy Kaufman is to people? If you're young,
we do. Because
if you're
he's been dead for so long.
He's been dead, and the Jim Carrey movie came out in 1999. Yeah. So if you're 21 years old, you don't fucking know shit about Andy Kaufman. Probably. Right. Andy Kaufman was a comedian. Very quickly was a really kind of a brilliant conceptual guy. Yeah. He wasn't a stand up and tell you a punchline joke guy. He was a guy that would do some weird shit, do a character,
some wild bit that you're like, what the fuck am I watching? And it was
good example.
Magical.
Good example would be the Mighty Mouse thing that he would do with the record player. Here I come to save the day. He would sing along with he'd lip sync to Mighty Mouse. He'd come out and set the whole thing up. He had the old record player with the horn thing coming off of it and put it on, and he'd look all dorky, crackling, and have his hair all done and look very proper and do all this, and then just start lip syncing. Here I come to save the. That was one of his bits. But the way he set it up for fucking 3 minutes, and then that's what he did, was just, what the hell is going on right now? And that was Andy Kaufman's.
Or even better, he did the Letterman show and came out and told a story. He looked like shit. He was disheveled. Yeah. Came out and told a story about how broke he is and asked for $1, and then just started wandering the audience, collecting change.
That's what Andy Kaufman would do, and that was a thing for him. Like, he would do. There's a million different of his conceptual comedy things.
It's awesome. Every last one of them.
The whole point was he wanted people to go, is this guy fucking kidding or what here?
Yeah,
like, what's going on? Is he nuts? Which is exactly the same emotion that wrestlers are trying to get. So
you're right.
It's actually, for him to be in wrestling is perfect. Couldn't be more perfect. He would have been a great wrestling manager if he decided to do that from the beginning. Sure. He would have been the best fucking manager there was. So he was on Taxi, by the way, which was a giant sitcom in the 70s, which made him very, very famous.
Mainstream.
Played a character named Latka who would talk like this, and he was from a made-up country and all that kind of shit. So anyway, he comes in, and what he would do is, the whole gimmick was, Andy Kaufman is, and he would say, he's this, I'm from Hollywood, and you people are dumb hicks in Memphis, Tennessee, and he'd make fun of them, and he'd say, I can beat anybody here, I can beat any woman here, and then he would fight women, and wrestle them and beat them, and then be like, yeah, that's right, see, none of you. And the guys would be going nuts. There'd be women like, I'll kick your fucking ass. You can't kick. And then the guys are like, you fucking pussy. I'll beat these women up. You should fight me. So, I mean, they just wanted to kill him.
Right.
They wanted to kill him. you people are dumb hicks, and I'm this and I'm that. So one of them was this was one of the, because they would make these vignettes, these pre-taped segments that they would put on TV, and one of them was him at a big place in Beverly Hills. You know, he's this big mansion, and he approaches the camera. He's got like the drink with the little umbrella in it and shit. He's got one of those. He's just looking like he's whatever.
Looks like he's $1 million, just rich beyond any Kentucky hillbilly's fantasies.
Rich to the point of leisure. Right. In this palatial estate where if you came on, they would kick you out of here in 2 seconds. You couldn't even get a look over the fence. They would fucking shoo you away. So he says, quote, "I'm from Hollywood. I'm smart. I make movies and television shows. I'm not some hick like you people from Memphis, Tennessee." He would do all of that shit. That was his typical thing. Look at this is what you do when you're smart. You're in Hollywood and you get to do great things, and you're smart. I'm just smarter than you. You people are losers and you're nothing. And you know, all you poor dirtbags and your big fat ugly women. And he would just go off on it, man. It was awesome. It was wild. He would, he would make the with the southern accent and all that shit. He also had a guy with him who he would introduce as his lawyer all the time. This is my lawyer, and so everybody, of course, wanted to. That's the the Hollywood thing to do.
Yeah.
He would tell, like, Jerry Lawler said this about me, and my lawyer's saying right now that he's in big trouble and we're going to sue him in court.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's exactly what he would do. And the crowd, "Oh, you goddamn pussy. You can fight women, but all you can do with Lawler's fight and sue him in court." I mean, these people are eating this shit up. So he they would buy tons of tickets when he was around. And he did another one where he would hire these women to fight. These are women wrestlers, I assume. Actresses. And he would say, the one, he goes, "Okay, Lawler, you think you're so tough?" He goes, I've wrestled women who are bigger and tougher than you, like this one here. Get in here." And there's this, big woman. And she said, "How tall are you?" And she's like 6 feet. "How much do you weigh?" "About 327. And he says, "See, 327. She's bigger than you, Lawler, and I can beat her up." And then he, tackles her and like slams her face on the ground. And he's like, "Take that." And he's,
See?
That's what he's doing. And then he declared himself the intergender champion of the world. So, I mean, they just
He's amazing.
wanted to murder him. That's what I'm saying. If he decided to be a manager,
God damn it.
It would have been off the charts.
How do you not watch that and just not die laughing? It's so funny.
But it's Andy Kaufman. So even when you're at a comedy club and they introduce him, here's a man doing a comedy performance, Andy Kaufman, and he comes up on the stage 2 minutes into it, you're going, is he doing, what, is this, is he serious now? Or is this is this a bit? This isn't a bit. He can get you to do that at a comedy club.
Yeah.
I mean, wrestling, shit, they were like 50-50 on it in 82. If he's doing this is real, goddammit.
But mashing a woman's face into the lawn, I mean,
that's what he would do.
What the fuck?
He's fucking nuts. That's the point.
You can't do that.
And he's like, yeah, he's screaming over her, talking shit, mocking her fucking down.
Tagging her as she's...
Take that.
Knocked
Drew a dick on her forehead. He was fucking wild. He sharpied just a big dick on her cheek.
Ran her head over with a lawnmower.
Yeah, take that. She needed a haircut anyway. So that's what he would do.
All right.
And anyway, they would... the whole point was Jerry Lawler's the hero, and he's going to come in and shut this big mouth from Hollywood up. You know what I'm saying? Right. Now, in reality, you look at it and you go, this guy's twice the size of that guy. That's not a heroic act to beat that man up.
Yeah.
Like,
Andy, that's the other part, is that Andy is not a huge man.
No, he's so skinny.
Very, very average height, and he's a very meek man.
He's a very, physically imposing isn't what he was going for. No. So, but they hated Andy Kaufman so much that they wanted to see a man who's supposedly a professional fighter who's twice his size beat the shit out of him. That's how much they hated him. So that's wild. So they have a match, or whatever it was, and what ends up happening here is Jerry Andy wants a pile driver. Jerry's famous finishing move is a pile driver, which looks amazing. It's back then it was about the most devastating looking move you could do to somebody. Right. Nowadays they have all sorts of crazy shit, but in 1982, pile driver, like a lot of territories banned the pile driver. Mm-hmm. So, no one could do it because it was too dangerous and guys would break their necks and all this shit. Yeah. And if you fuck it up, you can really hurt somebody bad. Like, you have to know how to do it. Ask Steve Austin, who fucking, had a broken neck from Owen Hart's. So,
and the guy that was the wrestling tag team guy with New Jack put a guy in a wheelchair. Was his partner? Was that his partner?
No, I think you're talking about. You mean Draws? You're talking about Draws later on. The guy who was on the Broncos and then was a wrestler because we talked about. Oh, I thought that was because we talked about that at one point. I remember, and you seemed interested.
Yes, that's the guy that got pile driven, right?
See, I speak fluent, Jimmy. Yeah, D'Lo Brown hurt him, I believe.
D'Lo Brown, that's the guy. Was
D'Lo Brown hurt him.
New Jack's partner?
No, he was with him for a minute at one point, actually, but he ended up not being there. I think that was in Smoky Mountain. They were together for a second. He was like part of it. They were like, "Well, you're all black. You should be on the same."
So weird
thing. So,
but he pile drove that dude and put him in a wheelchair for fucking ever.
Oh, it happens. I mean, unless you do it, and then there's guys they do it every night for 30 years. They never hurt a person ever if they do it right. But one time you fuck up, that's really and that's a lot of wrestling moves are like that. One fuck up and you're paralyzed. That's just the way it goes. So Andy wanted to do it. So Jerry gives him 2 pile drivers. One, and then really, I'm going to kill the guy. Let's do it again. So
that one's for me, and then that one's for that Tabitha lady that you beat up.
That's for her. She really told me you hit her face pretty hard on the lawn. She's not happy about it. So they had the ambulance come and all that sort of shit, and get him, the whole spiel. And they get to the hospital there and wheel him in, and it's all on camera and everything. They're taking him in, and once it's off camera, he says to the doctor, he says, "Do I need a neck brace?" And the doctor says, "No, you're fine. Like, you're not even hurt. You're totally fine." And he says, "Well, can I have one anyway?" And the doctor's like, you don't need a neck. You're fine. Like, no, you don't need a neck brace. And he says, "That's okay. Give me the biggest one you got. I want a big, ridiculous neck brace." So
I need a lampshade that a vet would use to neuter a dog. I need the whole thing.
And that's what he does. He has a giant fucking neck brace on, and from then on, and Jerry did this, and everybody's laughing at him. And I mean, he knew exactly how to. Yeah. Now he's going to get laughed at. So this July 29th, 1982, they go on the David Letterman show.
Yep.
And this is the famous thing.
It's the best one.
And they knew what they were going to do obviously beforehand. They had it all planned out. Lawler and Kaufman. This is not like. People for years thought that was real, thought like the whole rest of it was bullshit, but that night, that was actually real. It's like, really?
Come on.
It's our one chance at national exposure here on network television, and we're going to just not abandon everything we're doing and fuck around.
We're just going to play it by ear tonight?
Yeah, I don't think so. So, anyway, I guess he told him to fucking... he said, we'll go back and forth, and Kaufman told him, fucking whale me. Give me a good slap. Fucking nail me one. Make it look good, make people think it's fucking real. Yeah. So Lawler, if you saw it, Lawler popped him good with that slap. He really, he John Stosseled him. Like, that was like the Dr. D shot with Stossel. He hit him goddamn good after, and then, he threw coffee at Lawler, and that was the big melee, and that's how that.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from Law and Crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them.
Or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer.
I can really show you how to make some money.
And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a microcity built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
That went. So anyway, that's pretty much the Lawler-Kaufman feud, and Andy's was getting sick after that. Toward the end of that, he was getting sick, and then he ended up dying like a year and a half later, I think.
Horribly.
Horribly, yeah, that poor bastard. He was only 35.
I know, such a
that
child.
Is fucking horrible, man. Yeah.
And there's all the rumors of him Machiavelliing his death. And
yeah, of course, because he's
Andy Kaufman.
Because he's Andy Kaufman. That's the thing, man. If he's a guy who had a mind like him, I would have really loved to see where that would have gone comedically in 20 years. Like, especially the way cable was exploding at that point. Like, imagine that guy with a cable show where he could do anything he wanted, like an early 90s, like an HBO show, like a Larry Sanders type of thing, something like that, where they were like, just do something weird, and
some Tracy
could have been
Ullman
amazing.
Shit. He could just do whatever he wants.
Yeah, it could have been amazing, man. There's a lot more outlets for him where he didn't have to just be Latka.
We absolutely got robbed.
Yeah, so that kind of sucks. Anyway, Jerry Lawler's doing great. Huge house. He has a feud, because we kind of have to touch on this one. He has a feud with Randy Savage, which starts out when they're not even in the same promotion. And I'll explain. Randy Savage's dad, Angelo Poffo, is a wrestler for years and years and years and years and years. By the way, Angelo Poffo at one time had the Guinness World Record for sit-ups in a consecutive sit-ups from like the 40s. I can't remember. It was like thousands and thousands and thousands.
Really?
An absolutely insane amount of more sit-ups than you could do in a month. He did in like a day. He did it in like 6 hours. I'm not even shitting.
Did it in one sit-upping.
Yeah, one sit-upping. So, anyway, they started their own. They had gotten a fight with the promoters, with the NWA. They were feuding with them. So they started their own outlaw promotion in this area. Now, an outlaw, quote-unquote, promotion was just one who's not affiliated with like the NWA or one of the big, WWF at the time, whatever. So what they did is it's called ICW, the Poffo Savage promotion. So he would promote his sons, Randy Savage and the Macho Man, and his brother Leapin' Lanny Poffo there before he was Leapin'. He was just Lanny. So, but Lanny can suck his own dick, so he does have that going for him.
Good for him.
He used to get hired places because promoters would be like, I got to see that. That's incredible. Just bring him in. Yeah, we'll bring him in for a run. I got to see. This fella can suck his own dick. That could be good for morale in the locker room. That's literally what they'd say. That could be pretty funny. Like at 2 in the morning. For some reason, they thought if everyone's shit-faced at 2 in the morning, this guy hopping up on the bar and sucking his own dick is really going to be a crowd pleaser. I don't know why they thought that would be something that they want to see.
It's at least one person pleaser.
It's pleasing somebody. He's willing to have a dick in his mouth. I guess that's so.
I do wonder. Can you go all the way to done, or are you hung up on the fact that's a dick?
That's not good.
I want to know so bad, but I don't want to know bad enough to be able to fold myself in half.
You want to know bad enough to do yoga for the next 40 years?
I don't.
So their promotion, Savages and Poffos, all they would do was attack Jerry Lawler and Memphis Wrestling. That's all they would do, is attack Jerry Lawler, attack Memphis Wrestling the whole time. They spent their whole TV show attacking people that don't work with them because they were trying to get attention and drum up attention for their own thing. And eventually it got to the point where they ended up working out a deal where they, enveloped each other, basically, where they closed down the Outlaw promotion and the Savages and everybody came to work for Jerry in Memphis. And he had a giant feud with Randy Macho Man Savage. That was a big, giant deal. And then Savage ended up in WWF after that. And, 5 years later, he's slinging Slim Jims. And he's a nationally famous dude. So
he's a corporation.
He's a crazy-looking corporation after that. So he also has a lot of feuds with Bill Dundee. If you ever saw Bill Dundee, he's about 4'9", probably. I don't mean that seriously, but he's probably 5'4", maybe. Yeah. I don't know. And he would be wrestling and beating people, and you're like, he's so tiny, though. It's just not.
And this isn't on the up and up.
Come on, man. Like that sort of thing. And he just didn't look like he was like a tough. Chris Benoit was like a little guy, and he was littler than other people, but he looked mean, and he wrestled tough and mean. I never got that out of Bill Dundee. He's a good worker and shit, but it just everything he did, it didn't look real because he looked like somebody's child out there trying to fight people.
Rey Mysterio was tiny, but a backflip off the ropes that, you think, of course the big guy's going to go down. It's a backflip.
He just did a flippity flop from fucking here to there. Yeah, obviously.
He did a backflip, grabbed that guy's fucking neck with his ankles, and of course he fell down.
He threw him into the third row with his legs. Of course he's down. Yeah, obviously. But Dundee didn't do any of that shit, so he was a good worker, and the crowd seemed to buy it. Also, Bill Dundee would book for him, too. What they would do is, because Jerry Lawler was the booker, makes all the feuds and matches, but I guess they would do 6 months on and 6 months off with each other, where Jerry would book for because booking is one of these things, apparently, where all of these territories would get new bookers every 6-8 months or a year. You just run out of ideas.
The story also?
That's the bookers are doing all that shit. They're coming up with all the feuds. This one's going to fight this one, and we're going to go here to get to this big match and do all that. But after a while, they just burn themselves out, apparently. Yeah. So they'd have to get new ones all the time.
You lose ideas. It's an improv thing. It's a yes-and thing. You got to move to the next guy.
You need to step back and see it, see the forest, and then before you dip back into the trees. So they said every 6 months or so he would come in and they'd switch up. That's how they do it to keep it fresh and all that kind of shit. So, and it would give them, it was also a lot of extra work too. So, but Jerry said he would, most of the time, he told Sean Oliver was trying to get him to do one of the kayfabe commentary guest booker spots. And Jerry told him that he goes, oh man, I don't know what the hell I'd even talk about. He goes, I just wrote that stuff on a napkin on the way to the arena most of the time, on the way to the TV. He's like, I didn't even really think about it that much. It wasn't.
He didn't give a shit.
Didn't really matter. Yeah, he's like, I never thought about it really. So, one more wrestling thing that we have to talk about a lot is, or not a lot, but a little here, is the AWA merger. Now, AWA we've talked about extensively, Vern Gagne and all that. Well, here's one where Vern really fucked somebody good here. Now, what they were doing is AWA was kind of dying. So they were trying to branch out. This was after they had already tried to combine with the NWA to have Pro Wrestling USA, which is multiple territories pooling their talent for a TV show and pay-per-views to compete with Vince McMahon. That didn't work out. Because all the promoters just tried to steal each other's talent and, fuck each other. So
they tried to form a Voltron.
Yeah, it doesn't work. If the Voltrons are trying to, steal spark plugs out of the other guy's vehicle there, it's not going to work.
When the left arm's fighting the right leg.
Yeah, and that's what they had. The Super Clash was their big pay-per-view they had, or their big stadium show, and they said that in the locker room they were trying to steal each other, trying to sign each other's talent away from each other. So they're like, well, we can't have a partnership like this, really. Right. So they end up partnering with Memphis to try to make it they figure the two of them together will be a bigger deal. So what they do is, this is the time after Kurt Hennig had beat Nick Bockwinkel, become the champion, Mr. Perfect later on, Kurt Hennig. Okay, now Kurt Hennig wants to go to the WWF and become Mr. Perfect because Vince McMahon's offering him a lot of money, big gimmick, all this type of shit. So he's got to drop the belt, the AWA belt, before he leaves. They decide that Lawler's going to win it. And it's a big deal because Lawler had won the Memphis belt a million times, but apparently the AWA belt 5 years earlier was considered one of the big belts. It was NWA, WWF, and AWA. It was a big three. By now, AWA was really in the shits, and it wasn't really considered that anymore. but it was still a big deal to the people in Memphis that he won a major title. So he beats Kurt Hennig down there in Memphis, and he ends up shitty finish, by the way. It was Hennig goes up, hits his head on the ring post, and falls in. Good match and a shit finish. Anyway, so after that, they're going to have the big unification match with Texas, Fritz von Erich's territory. We talked about all the von Erichs, all right? It's a good thing we've done all the wrestling episodes earlier to build this base for all this shit, or else I'd have a lot to explain. So they're going to do, it's called Super Clash 3. It's going to be their big pay-per-view. This is the answer to WrestleMania 3, or this is the answer to WrestleMania 4, because I think it was early 88 this happened. This is it, man. This is WWF has had their run. We're going to crush it. There is like 1,500 people in the crowd for this fucking thing. Nobody's there. I think about that many people bought it on pay-per-view, too. Like, nobody bought it on pay-per-view. I remember when I was a little kid, I wanted to see it because I wanted to see the matches, but nobody bought it. So the main event is, and we talked about it in the Kerry Von Erich episode, Kerry Von Erich versus Jerry Lawler to unify the belts. And he said Kerry was fucking out of it and didn't know what he was doing. He had the razor blade on his finger because he needed to blade later on. Right. And he scratched his arm and sliced his arm all up. The beginning of the match, Kerry's arm is fucking bleeding before they even start fighting. He's got blood streaming down his arm. And
spontaneous leaking man.
Yeah. And the match ends up stopping with, I believe, Jerry Lawler's in the claw, which is Kerry's finishing move. Right. But Kerry's bleeding so much and he's bleeding like in Jerry's mouth, on his face. God. He's leaning over him, pouring blood just directly into his face. It's really gross. So he does all that shit, dripping into his face, being all fucking disgusting. And then the ref stops the fight due to Kerry Von Erich's bleeding, I believe, not Jerry Lawler giving up. Jerry Lawler's the bad guy in this scenario. And so Jerry Lawler wins the unification and all that kind of shit.
Because the ref has a heart.
Yeah, he didn't want to see a man bleed or another man get more hepatitis. So they do all of that. Now, what ends up happening, though, is nobody gets paid from this event.
Oh.
Okay, so now he's the AWA heavyweight champion, and he's supposed to go be the AWA heavyweight champion.
Right.
But Vern's booking him everywhere, sending him all these dates to come and wrestle, but he hasn't got paid for this pay-per-view yet. And he's like, I am not going anywhere until I get fucking paid for this pay-per-view. Yeah. And Vern said, well, then, you're not going to be the champ. We'll strip you of the belt. He goes, that's great. You're not getting the belt back till I get paid for this fucking pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So when they made the AWA documentary in 2007, I believe, Jerry Lawler still has the AWA championship belt because he's still never got paid from Vern Gagne. And then Vern died like 4 years later, so he's never gotten that fucking money.
Hilarious.
But, yeah, he still was waiting for it 20 years later, still hadn't gotten paid for that event. Now the music. Let's get into that quickly here.
Oh, boy.
Okay, manager Jimmy Hart was in Memphis at that time. That's where he started too. And Jimmy Hart, anytime he's around, music's going to be made because that's what he did. He was in the Gentrys, which was, they had, I believe, a top 5 single in the 60s. Yeah. Keep On Dancing was their single.
That was his, huh?
Yeah, Keep On Dancing.
Yeah.
And that's Jimmy Hart. He's in that group.
Awful
terrible. When you look up that video, you'll see young Jimmy Hart dancing around. It's fucking hilarious. So they're arguing. Lawler wanted to record an album with his singing, and he knew Jimmy Hart and all that, and that's how Hart got involved with all the wrestling shit, because he wanted to come in and get involved with the music stuff. And then he said, well, you'd be a great manager running around with that high-pitched voice. So everybody called Hart a wimp, right? They'd all chant wimp at him. That was the big thing. Very creative. So Jerry decided he was going to make a song, since it was the mid-'80s, and the song Ghostbusters was very big.
Yeah.
Jerry made a song called Wimp Busters.
Oh, my God.
Where he sings.
Rhyme. It's not.
No. He made several other songs as well, too. They made a music video, which we're going to watch. And Macho Man Savage is in it. Fucking all sorts of shit here. Also,
for Wimp Busters?
Also Brian Christopher is in it as a young kid who is being bullied A young bullied child he plays. Brian Christopher, as we know from our other Crime and Sports episode on...
this is incredible.
Yeah, these fucking videos are...
It really is... is it a... I don't know why it's so fascinating, but the hubris, just
the
real pride of what they are. They just believe they can do absolutely anything, up to and including something
singing
that requires so much talent.
A different talent. A different talent. I'll never understand that. I don't understand wrestlers who want to sing, athletes who want to act, comics who want to play basketball, fucking actors who want to be politicians. Anything like that makes no fucking sense to me. So
just do what you do and
do what you do. Fucking Jesus. All right. So this is. Hold on. Can you see this from your chair here, or do you need to turn it? Well, yeah, I can.
All right.
All right. Yeah. You turn. I'll turn. There we go. We'll meet in the middle. There we go. Okay.
What do we got? What do we got?
Okay, you're close enough where I can kick you now. I like that. That's good.
No puns.
No puns. You're getting kicked. Okay, here we go. Let's start it.
Oh my God!
Right
out of the gate, Jimmy the Hitman Hart. Jimmy Hart.
Jimmy Hart with a Ghostbuster line through it. No Jimmy Hart's allowed.
It's the ghost with Jimmy's heart on its face.
That's all it is with a beard and Jimmy Hart hair.
Okay, who's she?
I don't know. A woman just came out of a closet.
She did, and she's scared.
Oh, that's...
Oh, my God. What was that?
Kamal, I think?
She rolled her eyes about a fucking monster?
Oh, another monster.
Oh, all these monsters in the closets. Oh, my God.
They're all full of monsters. Oh, there's Lance Russell. Here's Jerry.
Here we go.
Macho Man. Look at him.
Throwing confetti. Who is that? And then now we got wrestling.
And now it's showing him beat up Jimmy Hart.
Oh, that was Jimmy Hart getting the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah, it's him beating up Jimmy Hart.
Over and over again.
There he goes again. I ain't afraid of no wimp. There he goes. Punching Jimmy Hart again. Jimmy Hart's.
How many times?
It's just what chick in a bikini all of a sudden. Where'd she come from?
For whatever reason.
Why is she here? They just needed a chick in a bikini. That's some old Asian man. Oh, Jimmy Hart is dancing around the chick in the bikini,
annoying her,
kicking sand on her.
Pissed about it.
And then here comes. Oh, there he is. There's Lawler
and
pile driving, and Jimmy Hart being mauled again.
This is amazing.
This is amazing. What did you do, Jerry?
But it's not a pun. It's not funny.
Nope.
It's just stupid. We're not anywhere near done?
No, we're going to turn it off. It's just this over and over again. Oh, here comes... Oh, there you go. That was... There's little Brian Christopher.
Being bullied. Oh! Why?
Jerry Lawler.
Why is Jerry Lawler beating him up?
Jerry Lawler was just, look at him there. Jerry Lawler was in the video, was on for some reason online at a high school cafeteria, defending a kid
in people's faces
against a bully here. So that's Wimp Busters. There's another couple minutes of this. You should really look these up, by the way.
I ain't afraid of no wimp.
I ain't afraid of no wimp. What's next? This, I don't know what song. Jerry Lawler sings a song about having sex with a woman using wrestling moves. That's the title of the video.
Oh my!
I don't know what's going on here.
Okay.
Is this Jerry Lawler? Let's hope so.
No, that's a wimp.
Well, this is a guy I don't think Jerry Lawler plays piano. Oh, that's his hair.
Oh, there's Jerry.
There he is. Oh my God, Jerry. What are you doing, sir?
He looks fat as shit.
What the fuck? What is happening? What the fuck is happening?
Why did he do that?
I am wrestling with girls. Wrestling with. Yeah, that's what he said. Wrestling with girls.
Yeah, that's what he said.
My shit. What the fuck is happening?
Why did he do this?
I don't know. He said pile drive and loving some shit. This is...
You can't say that.
I don't.
Especially
wow. Well, I mean,
as a grown man, you don't say that.
You should know that. This is... What is this? This is the rest.
Is that the music video for like Namgla?
This is the TV show, and they're showing him.
Okay.
This is the making of Wrestling with Girls. They're talking to the keyboard guy here. Wow.
What do you think about the music I told you to play?
Pretty terrible, right? Here's another one I found. Oh boy, this is called An Eye for an Eye.
Oh, Jerry that said the Sing.
Jerry the Sing Lawler.
Okay.
Oh boy, here he goes. He's got like an Elvis collar happening.
The video is horrific. The orange hue.
It looks like this. What the fuck?
Oh my god!
I never get mad at. He's just singing. He's trying to make pop songs, but the videos are all him fighting people.
Wrestling.
They're all videos of him fighting men. What is happening?
He doesn't know he can't sing.
No, he thinks he can sing. I think.
Yeah.
Wow. He's playing guitar.
Baffling.
His guitar player has no shirt on. That's how you know this is weird.
Oh boy, look at that.
He's got no shirt, but not like a flea way either, like a wrestler way. Like I'm at the fucking fair, but I shouldn't be allowed to be way.
And dancing way too fast to this beat.
Yeah, like he doesn't know what the song actually sounds like.
He thinks we're playing the Eurythmics.
Jerry's playing acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
Ooh, it sounds like
he looks a little Jason Aldean there too, fat with a very weird chin beard.
That's he had the chubby chin beard face going on. Is that all?
It's like it's a very ballsy move to have that thin of a beard on that fat of a face.
Oh, here's bad news. Hold on, let me see.
Oh, that's going to be the hell on bad news.
I think it's a country song.
Oh, it is.
There's no video for this one.
No.
Bad news travels like wildfire.
Yep.
Is that Jerry Lawler?
News travels slow.
That's Jerry. Yeah, that's Jerry. Wow. Okay, so you know that's an old song here.
That's a bad song. It's made better by who really sings it. I think. Who is that? Is that Merle? No, that's not Merle.
No, this is off the Jerry Lawler. This is. What are you fucking yelling about? Where's the video? Wow, this is crazy. Okay, that's enough of Jerry Lawler singing. I can't deal with it anymore. He thought he was a pop star.
And a country singer.
There's no like wink and nod as he's singing. He's just like looking into the camera sincere as shit. Like there's no he's either more Andy Kaufman than Andy Kaufman or he's terrible. One of the two. I haven't decided which one. I'm thinking I'm going to go with terrible. So, all right. We got to buzz through here. Anyway,
it's a Johnny Cash song, right? Who sings that?
Remember, that's something you should know. I feel like that's information that you should be aware of more than
Whitey
me.
Morgan sings it today the best, but I think it might be a Porter Wagner song. I can't remember.
Is it maybe a standard that like all of them sing?
It might be. It might be
one of
just
those.
Yeah. It's just Amarillo by morning now. It's everybody sings it. Nobody cares.
Yeah, I think maybe it's one of those. I think it's very much like that.
Who wrote it?
Yeah, who gives a shit?
It's a great song as long as Jerry Lawler doesn't sing it.
That's not good. So he's married at this point. Remember that? He got married before the Kaufman thing.
Who was that? Paula.
So it's 1989. He's 40 years old.
Right.
He is at a charity softball game at Treadwell High School in Memphis, where he went, going back home. Right. And he meets an 18-year-old young lady there who he takes a fancy to. You can't. Okay. If you go to a high school for anything and you meet a girl and the word teen is in her age, you went to a high school and found a girl at that point.
Right.
That's creepy. Sorry.
You shopped for a girlfriend at high school.
I don't care if she doesn't go to that high school, if she never went to that high school. Doesn't matter. It's
I don't
just
care
weird.
if she's picking up her brother.
Yeah, weird. So he meets her. She was at the game with her mother, who was dating one of the players there, who was on the same team as Lawler. And the daughter was like, well, I'll get one too, apparently. So that he was married at the time. And the way he puts it is that he considered having an affair with her. Okay. I think maybe he probably did have an affair because then him and his wife will get divorced later and she'll immediately move into the house. So I don't think he was like, I'll save her number for a couple of years from now when I get divorced.
Right.
So he liked being a heel here. Here's some things he gets to say. He said he kind of misses being a heel a little bit. He said, I learned it was a lot easier and a lot less trouble when you didn't have to please the crowd. You didn't have to worry about signing autographs or having your picture made so people would like you. It was more fun being the bad guy, especially with the TV interviews. You could really speak your mind more. That came natural for me, and I liked it. I agree. Sorry. Yep. He said that he said, I found out when you're this is gross. He goes, when you're a good guy, though, you quote, I found out you get a lot more fringe benefits from being the fan favorite.
Ew.
Sounds gross coming from him here. So 1991, divorces his wife, Paula, here. Immediately, the Stacey Carter moves in with him. That's the girl he's with here.
Of course. Stacey. Sounds like a teenager's name.
It was. A teenager in the 80s. She was a bank teller around that time. He helped get her a job at a photography studio, and I guess she opened a hair salon at some point here as well. Now, she'll end up being a WWE, I believe, a women's champion at one point in the late 90s as well.
Is that right?
Yeah. So he says, he's asked a lot about this point. You've been wrestling 20 years. Are you gonna quit? Is your body broken? And Lawler's style isn't one of these styles that's really going to break your body too much either. He's kind of got a real kind of a punch kick kind of a style. Not a lot of moonsaults going on there or any shit like that. So he said, quote, your body just gets used to that certain type of specific abuse. I wrestled on such a regular basis for 20 years, probably 6 or 7 nights a week, and every night I would get picked up and body slammed, and then maybe on your night off you'd go bowling, and the next morning you wake up and say, oh my God, I'm so sore from bowling.
Which one? You did it, right.
It's specific muscle, too, because there's some of these guys who weigh 400 pounds. This is always a trip. Guys will talk about this. There's guys who weigh 400 pounds that could go for 45 minutes in the ring and be fine. Right. But if you got an athlete who's a marathon runner in there, the best shape in the world, they wouldn't be able to breathe in 3 minutes in there because they have amazing cardio, but not for that. It's a different thing of go, stop, do this. It's very difficult on people who don't do it all the time.
Also, bowling will shred your thigh.
Your thigh, your shoulder, your calf, your whole
crazy.
Everything. Yeah.
How much that whatever side is your dominant side will hurt for 2 weeks.
It's going to hurt bad.
It's horrible.
So oh God, it does. That's one of if you did it like 3 times a week for a month, you'd probably get over it. But
I don't know
if
that's
going to take a while.
True.
I think it's like about as tough as wrestling, probably.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm just obviously not. So he said, though, quote, I've never worked out a day in my life. He said, and then he says, also, I've never even tasted one sip of beer, wine, whiskey, or any type of alcohol or coffee, quote, unquote. Or coffee. So he said it's something he enjoys, wrestling. He said, I never thought about the money or what I might be. I just thought it would be fun, and it has been. And he said, at the time, I would have paid to wrestle. So he said, now it's fun. He goes, wrestling isn't like a team sport. If you get some age and slow down in a team sport, they cut you because you hurt your team. Nobody else depends on you in wrestling. If you slow down and aren't as agile, you don't hurt anyone else. I'm content with where I am and what I'm doing. I've had a good career, led a fairly normal life, and made a lot of money. I don't have any complaints. I've spent most of my career here in Memphis and didn't really want to stray from that far from home. I wasn't that well known to a national audience, so all of a sudden, here this was to them fresh face, even though I've been in the business 20 years. So he's talking about WWE later on. Right. He says, the fun thing is that I could go to New York and the fans in New York are the most obnoxious. They are the worst. They're the biggest bunch of jerks I've ever seen. Because he's in a fucking Southern paper, so you can't say you enjoy New York. He says, they don't like Southerners up here either. So with me coming from Tennessee, there was an immediate hatred formed between myself and all those fans up there. By the way, let me clear something up for anybody who, obviously he's saying this for, in the paper for, get some shit going.
Self-serving stuff, right.
Let me tell you something. This is from, I grew up in New York, live here now. There's, just a thing. Southerners, if you think we hate you, we don't think a fucking lick about you. We don't care. You're the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Get it? The Yankees, the Red Sox think about the Yankees a lot. The Yankees only think about the Red Sox when they're playing them. Otherwise, they're like, I don't care what they're doing. We're great. We're fine over here. We're doing our own thing. The Red Sox are over there beating another team going, if only that was the Yankees. That's what you guys do down there. Not all of you, obviously, but the ones who do. If he was serious saying that right. Person, no, that's in your brain. We don't even think about you. We don't give a shit. About fucking 1865, we left and stopped fucking caring. Tell you what. As soon as Sherman fucking made his way back up the Atlantic, we stopped giving a shit what you did down there. We don't care. Do whatever.
Because now you're supposed to do what we do.
Yeah. Do whatever. Just don't own people while you do it. Thank you. Right. That was the whole point, and we're still trying to get that. And you still seem to be fighting it for some reason. I don't understand it. Not that part of it, but that's the only part we care about. Right. Anyway, he says it's getting tougher and tougher to hang with those younger guys. I used to have a couple of tricks of the trade that only comes with experience. He says, I really thought I would just try wrestling one time and that would be it. I feel real fortunate to have a career and make good money doing a job I love. I've paid to get to do this. So there you go. Yeah. By the way, I don't know if you noticed, but that whole thing I just said, although it's true, I was literally answering the paragraph above where he was saying how much more fun it is to be a heel.
Why did you do that?
Up early, I was doing that. Earlier, he was saying how much fun it is to be a heel and not give a shit, and you could say crazy shit and all that. And then I just went off on that whole thing saying, because as I said, it's fun to be a heel. So I was just being a fun heel, actually. That stuff's true, but I wasn't. Yeah. I was breaking balls. Anyway, so the ratings for the Memphis TV show are still amazing, by the way. He even had a Jerry Lawler show, which ran on Sundays.
What was that thing? Was it King's Court or some shit like that?
No, not on WWE, on a local Memphis station. He had his own talk show. Just a talk show where he came on and just, hi, I'm Jerry Lawler. I'm going to talk for a while.
Was it still called King's Court?
No, it was called the Jerry Lawler Show.
Oh, okay.
It had nothing to do with that WWE. He wasn't even in WWE yet at this point.
He was just using his own name.
Yeah, he's just in Memphis. He just goes on. He has a talk show.
Bay show.
Kind of like in a major market, like they used to have, like the coach would have a TV show, the football coach, it would have a TV show that he'd have to do every week. They still do it in college. All the college shows all the coaches have a show on FS1 or whatever.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting. So anyway, it's doing so well in ratings. They said at this point in July of 92, the show was seen in 65,000 households a week, which is about 103,000 people in Memphis, which is Memphis is not a big city. That's a shitload of people.
Yeah.
So the station manager said, our wrestling show is still the highest rated wrestling show in America. And it's still the only live weekly wrestling show in America. So it's really a phenomenon. So they used to do it live also. But he said he can't imagine leaving Memphis. He said that he can't imagine it. He said not only because he has such a big fan following, but he does numerous commercial work. He does tons of commercials, tons of them. Plus, he's involved in the community, particularly the Skinner Center for the Disabled. And he says, quote, it's amazing that people with Down syndrome, for some reason, they can really relate to wrestling as opposed to other sports. Those people are big fans and they're loyal fans. Those people. He's just like... That is, I don't know what it is about this sport as compared to other ones, but they relate to it. So that's weird as shit. So there's even an ad right under it there's the schedule of events in the city going on. This includes right above it the junior pageant at the Central High School.
Yes.
It's the Jerry Lawler softball game, and there's all sorts of other shit there going on in the weekend. The Bullet Town celebration, the the Tennessee Forest Festival, the Macklemoresville Cotton Festival.
Has nothing to do with thrift shops.
No, the Apple Festival as well.
Oh,
wow, that's great.
Ciders and pies.
The Benefit Barbecue, pork sandwiches, Pork barbecue plates with baked beans and coleslaw for $5. All right.
It's a lot of festivals.
There's the Davy Crockett Days, Oktoberfest, Fall Fun Fest.
Every month we got an event.
This is all in a fucking week. Gene Davenport's going to be there with, quote, Western dinner music. I don't know what the fuck that means. What is Western dinner music? I don't know what that is.
Music too?
I don't know. The Ed O'Neill Band is going to be there.
Oh,
Al
yes.
Bundy's coming to town. Hell yeah.
I'd listen to whatever that is. Is him bitching about women?
Admission is $3.
I'm sure it's not the guy I think.
No, I don't think it is. Wow. Country Gold Band, Stillwater Band, Rick Allen. Okay. Peggy Kirk. Oh, stand-up comedy. Oh, Jesus. 9:30 p.m. every Friday and Saturday night at South Street Lounge inside Boideau's restaurant. Featuring professional touring comedians.
Yep.
Admission?
Yeah.
$6.
$6.
They're paying those comics nothing. Those are not touring anybody.
What year was that?
92. 92.
Same price for same admission at a comedy club inside a Mexican restaurant.
Yeah,
inside a Days Inn
free.
hotel.
That was free, actually. That we didn't even take the $6, those guys. But this shit,
it's amazing.
This is not good, man. Those poor comics. And then if none of that suits your fancy, just head over to Little Caesars, where the 2 medium pizzas with up to 3 toppings are $8.98.
James, that was the original pizza right there.
That's the pizza. That's it. With plus free crazy bread. Holy shit. 2 3-topping pizzas and crazy bread for $9.
$9.
How terrible is that food? I mean, honestly. It's like 6 pounds of food for $9. That's not right.
Surprisingly, that gives you heart disease, James.
Wow, weird, right? That'll make you shit yourself involuntarily. Terrific. So...
It's amazing how shocked we are. It's amazing how amazed we are that we're all dying of heart disease in America with shit like that.
We're like, I'll give you a pizza. It's going to have greasy cheese and 3 kinds of pork on it. 2 of them and some bread smothered in a bunch of oil and shit for $9, right?
$9, son.
Yeah. Everybody in your family can have their own deal with 2 heart-stopping pizzas. So, oh, man.
They should have to legally put quotey fingers up when they call that pizza.
Yeah, pizza. Should be in the fine print. Not actually pizza. Pizza
I think Kraft Foods
product.
has to say this is not cheese, right?
Yeah, it does.
Don't they?
It's an imitation.
Yeah.
Imitation cheese, it says. Yeah. Imitation cheese product.
That's what they should have to say about that pizza. This is imitation pizza.
It's like prop pizza.
Right.
Like, it looks like pizza. Don't eat it. Good God.
No, no, Jesus. Please don't put that in your mouth. That's
not dough. That's just a paint can lid under there that we put sauce and cheese on when it stays stiff. Don't eat it. That's the same thing.
That's why it's round. That's why it's so perfectly circular.
Bro, you needed a good circle. I think we got one.
It's a lid off of a 5-gallon paint can.
That's all. Ta-da. Dinner is served. It's even got the lip on it, like a crust. You can't beat it.
It just holds it in.
So 92, after he says he doesn't ever think he'd leave Memphis, he begins his career as an announcer for the WWF at the time, currently the WWE. This is when it's not just him leaving his own territory, though. This is the USWA at this point, which it became the USWA when they merged with Fritz von Erich's territory in Texas in 89. So anyway... They have a working relationship with the WWF here. WWF wants to use them as a minor league thing because they've killed all the other territories where they used to get people from. So now they look around and go,
yeah.
Where the fuck okay.
What are we going to do now?
Well, there's one territory left. I guess let's nurture it and use it they would use it as a minor league system, just like baseball, like a guy's coming back from an injury. He's been out for 2 months. They send him down to AA for like a week to get his swing back.
Rehab him and get him back.
That's what they would do WWE. If a big guy if a big star was hurt, when he'd come back, he'd go down to Memphis for a couple weeks and work out his timing and then get back in with them. So and they'd bring, they'd use their guys. They'd bring them up through there and all sorts of shit like that. So he has a big feud with Bret Hart and the whole Hart family for a while. That's a big deal here. A bunch of bullshit. They have there was a fucking so stupid. They're supposed to have a Survivor Series match. Okay. That's the thing. They're supposed to have a big match at Survivor Series with Bret Hart and his family versus the King and the King's Court, which are going to be a bunch of masked guys.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be Shawn Michaels, and it made no sense because the King couldn't do it. But for now, Grace. Let's just say Grace. He's dominated his territory for 20 years, and now he's made it to the big time, and he's going to have a big match on a pay-per-view. We'll say Grace. Okay? 93, I found some really stupid softball game they were in that they had. It was covered heavily by the newspaper. The only reason I put it in is because Brian Christopher's playing in this game as well.
Oh, the kid from the video.
The kid from the video, yeah, his son from his first marriage here. And he was, I guess he was playing, the King's Army was playing, Brian's Bombers were playing another team. So that's Brian Christopher's team. Mm-hmm. So they had a big deal. I guess 125 people showed up for that, though. Watch them play softball.
To watch bullshit softball.
It's not a bad draw, I got to say here.
Pretty impressive.
Not bad at all. So now it's at this point you go, well, why isn't he going to be in the Survivor Series if he's booked in the Survivor Series? Well, let's see here. Let's find out why. Let's do this. Here, I'm going to read you something from a newspaper from 1993 in Memphis. Quote, I've not kept up with Lawler's career over the years, but I must admit growing up, my brother and I put him second only to the fabulous Jackie Fargo. See, told you. Lawler could always draw a crowd, and at matches and on television, he was always a hit with the younger crowd. Apparently, according to the AP report, his association with the younger crowd has gone too far. That's the opening to this.
Yikes.
A grand jury indicts Jerry Lawler, charging him with 1 count of second-degree rape, 3 counts of second-degree sodomy, and 1 count of harassing a witness.
Oh, no.
Oh, Jerry. Just have a fucking beer.
Enough trouble. Then you had to fuck with him afterwards?
Just have a beer, Jerry. Jesus Christ. For the love of shit.
Have some of the house wine. It's fine.
Who cares, man? So the indictment charges that he engaged in, quote, deviant sexual intercourse, which is the sodomy counts, and sexual intercourse with a girl on June 6th and July 7th in Louisville. They are, by the way, the charges are, and the accusations are that there is 2 different girls.
Oh, no.
One of them being 14 and one of them being 13.
Okay, so it didn't get better.
Yes, and it wasn't, and 17 and a half.
Oh, no.
Not that that's much better, but it's still better than 13. So
I mean, if one's 18, you know what I mean? It's technically legal. It's still disgusting.
Well, that's when he met his fucking current wife.
Yeah. Oh, yuck.
Her current girlfriend.
And he's like trying to talk her into like having her older sister. You know what I mean? I get.
Yeah.
That's disgusting, but no. I can see that happening. But this is This is out of line.
Rape and sodomy counts are both felonies carrying possible prison sentences of 5 to 10 years each.
Oh, so steep. We take that real serious.
Yeah, the harassment charge is a misdemeanor with the maximum penalty of 12 months in jail and a $500 fine. He's accused of having sex with both of the 8th graders.
Yikes.
I remember how I say sophomore and we laugh?
Yeah.
8th grader. There isn't even a word for that. It's just a girl in 8th grade.
Yeah.
There isn't even
there's none of that. It's just
doesn't even no blanket
grader.
terms. 8th grader. So both of the 8th graders in a neighboring jurisdiction across the Ohio River in Indiana also. So no charges are filed there. These are just filed over here. Another wrestler whom the girls told police they also had sex with in Indiana hasn't been charged either. So Indiana's going to wait and take a wait-and-see approach to this thing. According to the story, Detective Mike Redmond of the City County Crimes Against Children Unit said the girl was a fan of wrestling matches at the Louisville Gardens, where Lawler often appears. Redmond said that no force was used and the charges were brought because of the girl's age. Duh.
Yeah.
Force is not the issue. According to the indictment, he's accused of having sex with the Louisville girl June 6th and July 7th. The lawyer, Tim McCall, Lawler's lawyer, told the Associated Press that the charges are false. Lawler So anyway, they said that he's obviously could be facing trouble in Indiana as well.
Yeah.
He is actually, he's indicted and everything. He pleads innocent to rape and sodomy charges. And it's fucking crazy here. They indicted him on 3 counts of second-degree sodomy, 1 count of second-degree rape, blah, blah, blah. This is all for the 14-year-old Louisville girl.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
it was not at the same time. It was two different
two different. That's the
Wow.
accusation. So that's the accusation. He gets out on $1,000 bond.
What?
Might as well just ROR'd him at that point, right?
Yeah.
I get it that everyone around there knows who he is and he's not going anywhere because he's got like a bunch of shit to do and appointments and stuff. But
and
I don't
he's got
know.
to promote where he's going to be.
Make him reach into his pocket a little, though. Make it
$1,000.
That's just not. Yeah, it's not enough. If there's enough to indict, let's treat it like it's a crime.
Let's treat it like the actual crime it is and make it hurt.
That would be nice. So he, the district of Memphis attorney here. Here's the problem. Okay, at some point, Lawler's attorney had met with this girl before the charges came down. So that is considered harassing a witness here.
It is,
in this case. So Lawler, after he's let go on the bond, says, quote, "I feel good about what took place here today. I would feel not good about being charged with sodomy." That's a bad thing to say. Yeah. He says, this is from the newspaper here, that he has acknowledged that he has had contacts with young female fans outside the Louisville Gardens, but vehemently denies any improprieties. He said he saw the 2 girls who accused him of engaging in sex with him on only 2 occasions, neither of which included inappropriate physical contact. They asked him if he had exercised poor judgment in his relationship with young fans.
Yeah.
Lawler said he realizes now that the contacts with them outside the arena are no longer possible. He said it used to be nobody thought anything about it. Maybe they fucking should have. Are you kidding me? If some wrestler,
this is fine.
If some wrestler hung out with your 14-year-old daughter outside the arena, would there be no second thought about that?
There would be lots of first thoughts.
Lots of first, second, and third thoughts. He said, but times have changed so much. If you're even around anybody, they can say anything.
Yeah, it's like you can't even fuck kids anymore, James.
It's like every time you fuck a kid now, there's like district attorneys that want to get involved. It's like, come on, man.
It's crazy.
This is, by the way, wrestling has had a real issue over the years with guys fucking teenage girls. Yeah. It's a known thing in the 80s and the 70s. That was like a big deal. Guys would fuck teenage girls, and there was a couple guys who didn't like that kind of shit, and you weren't allowed to brag about it in front of them because they'd beat the shit out of you.
Right.
Larry Hennig being one of those guys, according to Roddy Piper. He said he watched him beat the hell out of some guy for bragging about fucking an underage girl. Watched him pummel a guy in a bar over it. So, but yeah, this was a thing. I mean, we're talking obviously Buck Zumhoff with his own daughter. Yep. We're talking about Art Barr, who had the same exact problem in Portland. And Art Barr had a problem where it was the same thing. It was like a 15, 16-year-old girl. It was all, quote, consensual and all that kind of shit. And they were like, but, the other wrestlers don't even think twice. They're like, but she was just too young, so he got in trouble. Well, duh.
Wow. That reminds me, James, somebody sent us an autographed Buck Zumhoff picture, and I can't wait to give it back to you. I don't want this in my house.
No, we'll have to put some sort of something on that.
I want it in your house.
I'm going to make a little black curtain and hang it over it. It's going to be the curtain of shame. I'm making a black curtain.
Gross.
So you're not even allowed to hang out with kids anymore. Jesus Christ.
Crazy.
So he tries to take control of the narrative at this point. He tries to take complete control of the press narrative and say that he even feels bad for these poor girls, but obviously there's nothing there. I'm just the poor guy taking society's shit for how they've been treated, basically. Right. He says that it's totally false. He's going to prove it. He said, I've got a lot of family here in this town, and I want you to know that in the next couple of days, you're going to be hearing some stories or seeing some stories on some allegations made about me. This is what he was telling when this all came out. And I just want to say right now that each and every one of these are totally false. And I guarantee you that I will prove that if it has to be in a court of law. That's all I'm going to say about that. So he says, not true at all.
That's a lot of words for no.
He also said every time somebody tries to have some prestige, they try to throw something up in their face. Oh, that's a fan said that. I've been watching Lawler a long time, and I don't believe he did it. I've been watching him a long time, so I don't believe he did it. Back then, remember the things they were saying about the Mike Tyson's?
Yeah.
That shit was crazy. This is the same year, I think, or a year later.
So, yeah.
So another one, a wrestler, Reggie B. Fine.
Yeah.
Reggie B. Fine. He says, I don't believe it. He's an all right dude. He's been around a long time here in Memphis. I don't think he did nothing like that. Meanwhile, he literally works for Jerry Lawler. He's employed by Jerry Lawler. So now, Jerry, early in the process here, writes a letter to the prosecutors.
Okay.
Where he wants to clear up some shit. Really, he wants to talk a whole bunch of shit about these girls and smear them.
What?
This is addressed to Lisa and Nick, who is Lisa Schweikert and Nick King, who are the prosecutors in this case. That's what they believe anyway, presumably. This comes from a recent Deadspin recently re-brought this up again and really did some good work dipping into it because Jerry controlled the press narrative. If you look at the newspapers from 93, he owns this shit. It's only his statements coming out. There's nothing of the prosecutor, nothing of the police, nothing of the girls other than you'll see. So he says this. Okay. And I quote, I feel if you did a background search on me, you would find that I've always tried to treat people with respect, from the smallest of the wrestling fans to the mayors and senators. And I think they, in turn, would tell you that my word is good. I also know that if you did a background search on the two girls in question, these are children, mind
13,
you.
14-year-old. Yeah.
Eighth graders.
Right. Middle schoolers. You would find that one of them is having a sexual relationship with the other one's brother.
Okay, that's how he starts talking about them. You know, let's do it in their own words.
You mean
I
an
feel
age-appropriate relationship?
Yeah, right? Possibly. And I think that's just disgusting. He doesn't need to have hair on his armpits. That's not right. On. Jesus Christ. Okay. In their own words, quote, that their mothers are both aware of the relationship, that she smokes, drinks, and has been suspended from school several times, that she brags publicly about having numerous sex partners, has claimed to be pregnant, has exposed herself publicly, and committed lesbian acts in front of witnesses. Committed lesbian acts in front of witnesses. The other girl is currently in a sexual relationship with a 40-year-old neighbor whom she babysits for, and also was caught having sex with a black man. Caught. Like it's a crime.
Wow.
Her mother was aware of both these situations and admits that her daughter lies to her all the time. The girl also claims to have had sex with several wrestlers. She also bragged in public about having numerous sex partners and that she has committed lesbian acts in front of witnesses again.
So why can't I fuck them?
Well, yeah. So this girl clearly can't be trusted. She's committed lesbian acts in front of God and witnesses and everything else. And she's been caught having sex with a black man. So I'm just crumpling up the charges. I'm throwing them out, right? I'm crumpling up my sheet here.
I got a Hot Pocket in the microwave. I got to go.
Wowie, wowie, wow. So, Jerry. Then there's I guess the prosecutors search I don't know if this is it's an attorney's office. They get a warrant and serve it on an attorney's office to obtain tapes of telephone conversations between Lawler and the two girls who are possible witnesses. I guess there's tapes of that there. And the Jerry side's trying to say that's outrageous conduct to have to search an attorney's place. But if the attorney is hiding evidence, then that's what they do. Ask fucking Bruce Cutler, John Gotti's lawyer, who got kicked off of. He couldn't be his fucking lawyer. That's how. If you can't just be a lawyer and then you're not above the law. There's privilege, but you're not above the law. You can't just You can't just hide evidence.
You can't hide evidence just because it's detrimental to your case.
I mean, I guess you can, but not if they know it's there. That's not going to work. So the Survivor Series match happens without him. Later on, this will set up a King of the Ring 1995 with Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler with the big Kiss My Foot match and all that bullshit. It was really stupid. Back to the rape. So Jerry publicly just says the girls have recanted their stories completely. Don't worry about it. Jerry Lawler's attorney went and got an affidavit from the girl saying exactly what they wanted her to say, or what they would have liked her to say, I'm sure. Don't know if it's true or not. I have no way of knowing that. But, they said that they've recanted the stories, and because of, quote, conversations with other wrestling fans. These are children that they had I don't know if they had them doing it. I'm not going to say they did, but adult wrestling fans were going up and grilling these kids about, because that's not harassing a witness, because it's not Jerry doing it, and they're not saying Jerry made me do it. They're just going up and grilling these girls about this shit and trying to get answers. And then they're taking these answers to the court and saying that's what they said, like that was a deposition or something. Right. Being harangued at the back of a wrestling show is not a deposition. So they're saying that Jerry Lawler's saying they recanted the story. Bill Massey, his attorney, says he expects to get the charges against Lawler dismissed at the arraignment, which he doesn't, by the way. He alluded to the developments here. He talked about it on a television interview. He said, we anticipate the whole situation to be over very soon. He said, the lawyer said he met with the girl and her mother at their request. Obviously, they called him and obtained a statement completely exonerating Lawler. Yeah. Quote, the young lady says this never happened. This is Lawler's attorney. It just got blown out of proportion, and when she tried to stop the prosecution, the authorities didn't want to. They didn't want to hear the truth. Mm-hmm. They said, nope, doesn't matter. We're doing it anyway.
Right.
Sure. So he said that he also said the lawyer said that Lawler has not given the girl and her mother anything in exchange for the statement. No money's changed hands, no promises of anything in the future, nothing at all. Just they thought their moral center was askew, and they didn't want to deal with it anymore. Okay. So, quote, she and her family are very crushed and hurt by the unwanted attention she's getting. They said they have a family friend. They said this is what ends up, this is how it happened. This is the lawyer saying this. Quote, they have a family friend who almost sees himself as a fatherly figure to this young lady. This is how the whole thing came out. He will constantly probe into where she's going and what she's doing, almost like she's 14 or something and going out running the streets. Like you'd be like, where were you and who were you with? You know,
like she's got a responsible adult looking out for her welfare.
So strange. He'll constantly do that there, and then questions her, even accuses her of going out with people constantly, like every other parent in America. Yeah. Were you with this one? Were you with that one?
Yeah.
Good God. This gentleman was accusing her at one time, I think it was just in September, and he just kept on and on. He was saying, who else have you been with? Just to spite this man and to make him leave her alone and to make him back off, she said, if it will make you happy, I've been with Jerry Lawler. So just to be spiteful, she said Jerry Lawler and then named a few others. And the lawyer says this man went to the police, and that's where it got started. That's their story, that it was just like a out-of-control bullshit. He said that he also got a statement from the same girl clearing him of any wrongdoing in southern Indiana. Got to clear that up, too, for that jurisdiction. He said, quote, everybody's a bit leery of this and did not want to come in too quickly. He said this is of the Indiana authorities. The whole way it happened was rather questionable, and in my opinion, that Indiana was holding back to wait and see what happened in Kentucky. I'm hopeful with this statement we can have this whole thing resolved quickly in both states. All over with. He says, quote, Mr. Lawler sees this young lady as more or less of a victim of the system herself. Her and her family. This just got blown out of proportion, and that happens sometimes with major celebrity figures.
Yeah.
The girl's been a fan of his for years, never misses the matches in Louisville. He says, quote, there are groups of these young wrestling fans that follow these wrestlers everywhere. They have to keep security by them to keep them at bay. He has spoken with them, of course, but as far as going out with them on a date situation or anything like that, absolutely not. One time when Lawler was wrestling in Louisville or Indiana, she found out what room he was in and came over there, and he talked to her for about 30 minutes or so. And that was all.
Because he's a kind man, James.
He's just a kind man. He said that, quote, she made up the story in frustration after talking to this John Segavan guy, who's a Louisville bakery employee and former boyfriend of her sister, who was watching over her and asking her stuff. So he took the story to police, and he said, quote, I told the detective, this is the Massey guy, said, I told the detectives what I already told John. I told them that on the morning of May 26th, a friend of mine and I, this is the girl, met Jerry Lawler at Louisville Gardens and went with him to the Days Inn in Sellersburg, Indiana. I told them that both the friend and I performed oral sex on Jerry Lawler. I was not telling the truth. This is her recanting affidavit that the lawyer got from her, Jerry Lawler's lawyer. I was afraid, and police detectives told me they wanted me to tell them what I had told John. That's why I said this, and I know what I did was wrong. We did go over to Jerry Lawler's room, though, and he did take us out to eat at Taco Bell, shopping at Value City, and back to Louisville Gardens. Why would he? No.
I don't. A man doesn't take fans shopping and feed them.
Yo.
No, it doesn't happen.
Allegedly, fucking whatever the fuck you have to say to make this legally fine. In my opinion, allegedly, whatever the fuck. You do not take two 8th grade girls, if you're a mid-40s man, after a wrestling match, take them to your motel. Are you kidding me? You could not. If their room was on fire,
no,
I'd be like, I'll meet you out in the hall. I'll meet you out in the hall. You're not coming in this fucking room. Then take them to Taco Bell like we're on a date, and then shopping at Value City. What is this? Pretty Woman? What the fuck is going on?
He's the most frugal pedophile on earth, if that's the case.
Well, that's why he chooses to hang out with these girls.
Real impressed by that.
It's a cheap date, like a $14 date. So
frugal dick.
That's the statement that the lawyer obtained from her. So that's all. That means that people must have saw them at Taco Bell, saw them at Value City, saw them at the motel. Those are undeniable.
They knew they were all with him somewhere there. Yeah.
Yeah. People say everybody recognizes Jerry Lawler in this area. Hey, it's the king.
Right.
So why are you with those two young girls? Yeah, it's the king with his daughters. Yes, he's 44 and they're fucking 13, 14. Yes, that is daughter material there. Easy. So so that means they had. So in order, the attorney said you have to include that you hung out with him. So that is disturbing to me.
Horrible.
She also said she repeated to the detectives similar fabricated stories about additional incidents involving Lawler on June 7th and July 7th, or June 6th and July 7th in Louisville. Incidents she said involved her but not her friend, and those are the charges that led to the indictment. She said, quote, Lawler has treated me as a friend for a few years now and has always been nice to me and my mother. I'm sorry I said these things. And, Lawler said that his affidavit, he said that there's a admission in these tapes about her saying she didn't do it. But one of the two girls told police that Lawler told her all she had to do is lie and say this never happened, and that was the key to the whole thing. So the other girl who didn't make an affidavit said he came to me and said all I had to do was lie and it would be over.
Yeah.
And
this one says this shit.
And then she says that. So that's her story. So both the girls' names obviously are going to be redacted out of this and all that sort of thing. Yeah. So the letter states, we told the first story to detectives about doing sexual things with Jerry Lawler. That's totally not true. Then we told the truth the second time. Why is this case still going on? All this is doing is putting our families through stress and worries. We just want this to be over with. So can we all just go on with our lives? Please take this into consideration. That's also what she put on there. So here's the fans investigating. Okay. Two girls, two acquaintances of the girls said they began hearing rumors about the girls and Lawler in August and questioned them closely about the matter. This is wild. This is Shannon Kenny, who's 20, not a friend of a 13-year-old, by the way. I went in, and neither's a 44-year-old. No, you're not friends. Friends when you're 13 are age appropriate. 16's a little old for a friend. You know what I'm saying? for a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here. So if your kid was hanging out with 17-year-old boys, he's 13, you'd be like, no,
Not
too
a friend.
old.
No.
Not your friends. Exactly. How about 20 and 44?
Even if it's my boy and it's 18-year-old boys. No, leave him
that's
alone.
what I meant. Even your boy hanging out with 17-year-old boys, you're like, nope.
Let him play Fortnite. Leave him alone.
Yep, that's it. She said, I went and asked Jerry about it. So she knows Jerry if she can walk up to him. I pulled him off to the side and said, look, I'm hearing that you slept with her. I said, you didn't, right? And he said, no, I didn't. She's only 12 years old. She wasn't 12, but I've been with him alone myself, and I'm of age, and he didn't try anything on me. Well, what does that say? She almost wrote the joke herself there. That was literally a joke. Like if someone wrote a joke, they'd be like, I've been over there. I'm of age, and he never tries anything. Oh, but and then Jay Leno giggles. Like that's it's like a hacky joke. He said, I went to her and she was like, no, none of that ever happened. Like, why would she tell you anyway? Because it's none of your fucking business, 20-year-old creeper.
She doesn't want to keep talking about this and reliving it. It's horrible.
Susan Ward, 22, another fan, said she and Kenny, the other one there, both questioned the two girls about the rumors on another occasion. So they're harassing these girls.
Will you leave these little girls alone?
No wonder why they want the whole thing dropped. I mean, true or not. If it was true even, you'd be like, oh my God, I can't go anywhere without people harassing me about this. She said that she questioned them, and she said, quote, we asked them if they ever did anything. We'd both been grilling them right and left. I said, you never messed with them, right? And they said no.
Gross.
Dude, what the fuck is this shit? And they're and this is in the newspaper. We interrogated them thoroughly. Okay. So they said that teenage girls are always hanging around the wrestlers for ever long as they could remember. Right. They said, she said, quote, but I've never known any of like personal relationships. Like they're idols and these little kids are in love with, not for sex. Of course not. That never happens. So they talked to Jeff Gaylord about it. Yeah, okay. Remember him?
Yeah.
Our boy from a few episodes back there. He's in Memphis at this point. And he says that the wrestlers should be, and most of them are, aware and concerned about the potential pitfalls of underage female fans. No, there aren't. That's what he said. That's quote, not a thing. Wow. Gaylord said, quote, they try to power position each one of them, They all want your attention focused on them, and they'll say and do just about anything to get that attention. If they want a hug, I make sure both of my hands are on the table. Most of the fan contact is at the table where you sell photographs and autographs and shit. Right. So he said the girl that was named in the allegations against Lawler approached him last summer. And he said, quote, I've been with a wrestler, he said that she said, in like a sing-songy, taunting voice, like a child would do on a playground, like an eighth grader. And I said, what do you mean? Did you have sex with a wrestler? And she said, no, but I want to. Mm. Okay, well, you still can't fuck her, though. Doesn't matter how much she wants to. She's a child. Jeff Gaylord.
Chris Hansen should have been around so much earlier. Jesus
so
Christ.
much
These guys
earlier.
Are so dumb.
Chris Hansen, Wrestling Edition. That's all it would be. Wrestling with Predators. That's what it would be called. Wrestling with Predators. So
we're going to pin them all.
And by the way, lawyers, I talked to a bunch of lawyers here, and they all say that it's not unusual at all for the victim of a sexual assault to recant her story in a sex crime case. Because a lot of times, once it comes out, things like this happen. Things like
she's being threatened because she's a fucking child. Right.
Not only that, your family starts telling you, why don't we just push this? Let's just everybody, this is happening. People are talking to me at work. It's in the blah, blah, blah. And that happens a lot. I don't know if it happened here. Now, the Deadspin article that came out a few years ago, now bringing it back up again. And by the way, Lawler did it to himself that it came back up again because we'll talk about it, but in 2017, somebody said, oh, wow, and posted an old newspaper clipping of his arrest for rape and sodomy. Yeah. And he said, I found this cool old Memphis wrestling thing here. And Lawler, not looking or something, retweeted it. Retweeted the story of him. And people were like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you retweeting this, you fucking idiot? So then...
That's the hubris. He's so proud of himself.
That got the attention of some reporter at Deadspin, and they decided to get back into this a little bit and talk to the cops, because they looked through it, and Lawler had all, like I said, he was on the offensive the entire time. So what's the story here? So he said that Lawler tried to get back up, got several witnesses to sign affidavits on his behalf. They're basically all the same themes as Lawler's shit of like these girls are skanks and you can't believe them because they fuck black guys and commit lesbian acts in front of witnesses. If they did it in private, it's one thing, but Jesus Christ, in front of people, under the stars, give me a fucking break.
Doing it in places where you can get caught? Come on.
There's also affidavits from fans claiming that one of the girls recanted the allegation and the other one claimed she was going to get $10,000 out of Lawler for it. So one affidavit, though, they say in this article, is a bit out of place. It's from the person who drove Lawler to the motel where the girls said they met him. And the point of the statement appears to be that she didn't see the girls enter his room. Lawler, though, because that's one of the affidavits he presented, but he had told police during a 90-minute interview that, yes, the girls had been in his room. Wow. So right away, he never denied that they were in his fucking motel room. And he said the same thing to investigators in Indiana. And he maintained they used the motel phone and that was it. Got right out of there. He said he talked to him for 30 minutes. This is the
30
police
minutes, and they wanted to use a phone, and so then we went to Taco Bell.
Yeah.
None of it makes any sense.
None of it. Well, I'll read you from the police file here. Police file also debunks much of the historical narrative around the case, some of which was set by Lawler himself. He really did set the narrative. In an interview with Lawler, published December 18th, 1993, issue of Pro Wrestling Torch newsletter, editor Wade Keller asked Lawler if he had anything to say about the case that he had not already expressed publicly. Quote, I think it was made to sound so much worse than it was when the only way it is reported is Jerry Lawler is charged with rape. That was his quote.
Doesn't look good.
No, when in all actuality, all it is, here's a young girl who goes to her friend of hers that she had sex with Jerry Lawler. I mean, how many groupies or girls who go to wrestling have claimed to have had sex with the wrestlers? Millions. And then this just got told to the wrong individual. So that's what he said.
Is that what women did back then? They just claimed to fuck them all?
I don't know if they claimed to. I don't fucking know. Maybe.
That's a wild claim.
Yeah, I mean, I know there was a lot of groupies. They tried to fuck the wrestlers, but
how
I
many
don't know if
times
they
have
were
you
like,
gone
I
to
fucked
concerts, James, and then been like, told all your friends the next day, yeah, I'd fucked Method Man and all the Wu-Tang last night.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, dude. Yeah, it was a bukkake party, man. It was pretty dope. Capadonna was there, too. Yeah, they got like even the peripheral. Even the peripheral woo was there. It was crazy. Poor Inspector Deck, though. Poor Inspector. So, the police report, however, says the investigation began after one of the girls was confronted about having a sexual relationship with a boy by a male family friend. That's the guy we were talking about. The girl told the man that she had in fact slept with the boy. When asked if she'd had sexual contact with anyone else, she named Lawler and Bill Martin, who wrestled as Bill Marino in USWA, and wasn't charged because that was Indiana. The friend told the girl's mother, and one of them called the Crimes Against Children unit to report it. So the guy who Lawler says called the cops, he wasn't the one who called the cops. The mother called the cops initially. The mother also told the police that after confirming the details with her daughter, she called the mother of the other girl, and their stories matched up. The accounts that both girls gave to police, which involved Lawler stripping naked, the girls being hesitant to do anything, and all of them watching cartoons before the girls finally performed oral sex on Lawler, also matched up. God damn it. Like I said, I don't know anything, and legally, and I don't know, and allegedly, and all that shit. That, if you said, how would Jerry Lawler do this, that's exactly how I would think he would do it.
And the other point is that if that is true, he did. I want to know what cartoon it was. What did he woo him with, like the Pepe Le Pew or like the Jetsons?
I think it's 93 would probably be Ren and Stimpy. I think he got him
maybe
because back then that would be, you'd have to go edgy.
Something
I think if you want,
something Nickelodeon.
If you want some creepy, pedophile sex, I think you got to go edgy, don't you? With these girls, it's just disgusting, man. I don't even know. So that matched up. Man. Later, all before the case went public, Lawler, running a tape recorder, called the girls' homes, where he ended up speaking to at least one of them and or their mothers. Allegations, that's the harassing the witness. Allegations were then relayed about him suggesting that this be taken care of by talking to his lawyer. One of the girls maintained that everything she said was true, but she was unsure if she wanted to pursue the case in light of Lawler's call, because she found it intimidating. Previously, the initial police interview, one of the girls had broken down in tears while telling detectives what happened in the motel room with Lawler. As for the issue of whether or not the girls recanted, retired Louisville detective Mike Redmond, remember him from before, he worked the case. He told Deadspin that they never did recant. Instead, they refused to testify against Lawler, with Redmond's interpretation of the decision being that the girls didn't want to get the king into trouble because everybody would hate them then because he's so beloved. Wow. In 1994, finally, by the way, the John Segavan guy, the guy who they said came forward, he's charged with raping one of the girls.
What the fuck, John?
So afterwards, and I guess he ends up raping a 15-year-old girl who I believe is the same one. And now that girl's pregnant, by the way.
Oh, no.
Don't know if it's the same one that made the accusation or a different 15-year-old girl or what, but he knocked up a 15-year-old and is arrested for it. So that's terrible. So February, or what is it, the 23rd here? Jesus Christ, this is pretty bad. February the 23rd here, 1994, the other girls, the girls decided they didn't want to testify, they didn't want to do anything, so they had to drop most of the charges against him. They're dismissed. Wow. Except he actually pleads guilty to harassing a witness.
Have to.
Because he couldn't, there was no way around that one. So one of Lawler's attorneys cited the girl's reluctance to testify as a factor in the deal being made. The prosecution would not comment on the plea, past saying that it served justice. And, they didn't say if he sent a letter that was in the fucking newspaper accusing these girls of terrible things. Like literally, that's why he sent that to him, because he knew that would get out publicly. So that is a fucking horrible thing to do. Whether they did it, whether it's true or not, it's fucking horrible. Any of it's true. I don't even know. It's just fucking horrible. So anyway, fall of 1994, he feuds with Doink the Clown. The WWE, soon as it's over, they take him right back, by the way. Yeah. No problem. As they've done they've done that in the past too. See Pat Patterson, Mel Phillips, fucking Garvin, Terry Garvin. It's happened a lot. So yeah, this is a feud with Doink, where Doink has a little person sidekick named Dink.
Oh God.
So then Lawler gets his own little person sidekick named Queasy. So then they would add more sidekicks. So in the end, it was a goddamn Survivor Series match with Doink, with Dink, Wink, and Pink. And then Lawler had Queasy, Cheesy, and Sleazy.
Oh, my God.
That was maybe the worst match I've ever seen in my life. Not fun.
2 grown men with 3 little people.
Yep.
On each side.
That's how it works, on each side. My. That is an 8-man total. 1994, he stars with but he's in an episode of Life with Mikey, which is a Michael J. Fox sitcom from back then. Have you ever seen this sitcom? I don't think I have.
It was ABC, I think.
I think.
Yeah, I think it was.
He, I guess he says that he plays a wrestler in it. Shocking. He takes part in a wrestling match at a birthday celebration for a little girl. Quote, "I'm a big, mean, masked wrestler. It was so funny. They kept changing the name. At first I was going to be Mad Max. Then they apparently realized there was a movie Mad Max, so they named me the Terminator. They had to know they couldn't use Mad Max. They definitely had to know they couldn't use Terminator. So an hour later, they changed my name to the Lobotomizer," which is a terrible name.
He's a Kennedy?
Right. And Michael J. Fox gets into the wrestling, too. This is pre-diagnosis here.
Oh, boy.
He says, quote, "I pick him up over my head, spin him around 4 or 5 times, and throw him onto the other wrestler. He catches him, then they both fall back on the mat. And then that wrestler throws Michael onto the ring floor." And I guess they had a stuntman at first, but Fox, I guess, watched the stunt double do it a couple times, and then he said, "I want in, I'm doing that." Maybe this is what caused it. We don't know.
Can we blame Lawler?
He never took a wrestling move before this, I can't imagine. So, you know what? He said the director was really dead set against it. He came up to me and said, "Can you do this without getting him hurt?" I said, "Well, all I'm going to do is pick him up. When I throw him, the wrestler basically will catch him. That won't hurt him. The wrestler's going to take the brunt of the blow when he falls down. Then he's tossing him onto the mat. That won't hurt." So he said Michael J. Fox loved it, got all excited, was super into it.
They did it.
And he did it. And then now look at him. Fucking poor bastard. Now look at what happened to the poor guy.
Thanks a lot, Jer.
Thanks, Jerry. Jesus, you're really fucking up here. That was a hard grace, wasn't it?
It was.
So he's doing commercials all over Memphis at this point for Gwatney Chevrolet Geo, Term City Furniture and Appliance, iTech Fireworks City, and also for some holiday fun shop.
I want commercials so bad.
Jesus Christ, that's awful. So he also, at this point, goes and wrestles for Jim Cornette's Smoky Mountain Wrestling in its dying days. He becomes the champion. Has a little bit of a thing here in '96 where he draws Ultimate Warrior comes back to WWF, and he has a big drew a big picture of Ultimate Warrior, and it's like a cartoony kind of crazy looking picture. It's good though, and it's all framed and shit. And then he's going to present it to him in the ring, and then Lawler ends up smashing it over his head, of course, because anything like that's getting smashed because it's wrestling. Yeah, no trophy or picture can go unbroken. So. Lawler says, quote, who would have thought that a wrestler would ever make $1 million for one match? But it happens, and a lot of the cable TV stars make $750,000 or $800,000 per year. It used to be you got paid based on the percentage of the gate receipts. Now all these guys have big contracts. It's human nature to do as little as possible to make as much as possible. That's why you get some stinking lousy matches. These guys get lazy, and our sport has suffered because of that.
No, Jer, that's the American dream. That's the whole idea in America. You work to a point where you do less and make more, you fucking idiot.
I think that's the worldwide dream. I would hope that's what people. It's just human nature.
It's just what we got to do.
He's cheap as fuck too. And there's a Honky Tonk Man is his cousin, by the way. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you knew that or not, but Honky Tonk Man's his cousin. Honky Tonk Man wrestled in Memphis, and at one point he remembers getting a $998 check for a week because he was like selling out main events. So he said. Jerry said to him, "What's it feel like to make your first $1,000 check?" And he goes, "I don't know. I haven't made my first $1,000 check yet. I just made a $998 check."
Right.
And Jerry went, "See, I told you," and turned around to the other guy and said, "I told you he'd fucking do that. I told you." He literally wrote him a $998 check to see if he would complain about it and then ask him about it to try to irk him. How about you give him the extra $2 and not be a twat?
$2, Jer, you fucking jerk.
Just to see if he could fuck with him. That's the kind of guy that he was as a promoter. So much so that during this time, when he came to WWF, there was a lot of people that fucking hated him, that had worked for him in the past and got his shitty payoffs. Yeah. So I believe it was X-Pac who did it, took a very, very large dump in his crown in the locker room. And got just a big shit right in his crown. And then Jerry went to Vince, "Someone's shitting in my crown." And there was a rule that you can't touch Jerry's crown anymore. No shitting in Jerry's hat.
It's a solid move, though. If I was told, "Do not shit in his hat ever again," I would piss in it.
You'd be stalking it to shit in it.
I would shit elsewhere and bring it to throw it in it. I wouldn't.
Yeah. So stupid. 97, he does a little with ECW. I won't talk much about it, but he goes in, he hits Tommy Dreamer in the nuts with a fucking cane at one point. That's pretty bad. I think he broke one of his balls, too. He had to go to the hospital.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, bad stuff. 98, he's filming Man on the Moon, which is the Jim Carrey, Andy Kaufman film. Right. And he's in it because he's in it.
He used to be in it. Right.
That's most of the end of Andy's life there. So during that, apparently, he actually went after. He put Jim Carrey in the hospital at one point.
What?
During filming, I guess Jim was really trying to be super method. This is when he was first couple years doing drama, so I feel like he felt like
weird Jim Carrey times.
And he got real crazy, and who is this? Carrie's manager said Jim was immersed in the role as Andy, played it as Andy would have. Mr. Lawler reacted unprofessionally and he attacked him. He attacked him and injured his neck. Apparently, I don't know if it's real or not, but I guess he grabbed him by the hair and kind of fucking whipped him around a little bit, and Jim had to go get his neck checked out afterwards because he doesn't weigh 240 pounds.
Right.
Lawler denied that he savagely attacked the actor. He said, no, that wasn't it at all. And the director said, Jerry's still in the movie. We're shooting our final scenes today. So that's that. 1999.
Yeah.
He is at the Memphis International Airport. And Officer Camille Carlene Pegas charged that after she issued Lawler a parking ticket, he screamed obscenities at her, crumpled the ticket, threw it at her chest. She then told Lawler not to leave, but he instead started his van and, quote, accelerated toward her. As she turned to avoid being struck, she said he ran over her foot.
Oh, Jerry.
Jerry. Remember when Randy Moss did that? It was like he fucking filleted a baby on national television when he did that.
It was like he shot the cop.
And it was within 2 years of this. And did you hear one thing about this?
Never heard of it.
Exactly. That says a lot right there. So he said, Lawler said the officer was nowhere near his van when he pulled away, and he didn't run over her foot. He said he just paid $48 to get his van out of long-term parking, had pulled around the baggage claim to load his luggage after returning home from Florida. He said that the officer told him that she ticketed him for being parked in an area set aside for active loading only.
Yeah,
I said,
can't. What is he doing? You can't do that.
He's saying, I'm the king.
Yeah.
This is
I
Memphis.
go get my car first? No,
This
dick.
is Memphis. I go get my car and pull it up, and then somebody has my bags waiting for me because I do what I want here. I can fucking fuck 14-year-olds with impunity. Are you kidding me? Allegedly. I'm not saying that happened. We don't know if that happened or not. No idea. Judging by the legal charges, it didn't happen. We have no clue. That was a fictional Jerry Lawler character. So that I just said, I'd say that. Satire. He said, what am I supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? Throw your bags into a moving vehicle? That's what he said. So anyway, he's charged with reckless endangerment.
No, Jerry, you go get your bags, you walk to your car, you put them in your car, and leave like fucking everybody else.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass, and you got to do it.
It's a nightmare. It sucks. That's traveling, you fucking jerk.
Tough shit. He ends up pleading guilty to reckless endangerment and pays you, sir, may fuck off, $25 fine.
Okay.
Take that. 1999, he decides he wants to be mayor of Memphis.
Oh, God.
His platform is focused on making the streets safer for residents, beautifying the city, and improving the quality of education. He also vows to attract business to Memphis, improve the traffic flow, create more parks, and decrease property taxes. Okay. So you want to fix the roads and create parks with no extra income. That'll work. We can do that, no problem.
You're going to decrease our own revenue stream and do more? How?
Everybody grab a shovel, and we can do this. That's the only way you can do that.
Let's all beautify.
He said it's not going to be a typical political message because I think voters have been turned off by the mudslinging and the typical partisanship that goes along with those who run for public office.
Oh, boy.
As he tried to make this serious here, one of the other candidates said if he can beat Mary Rose McCormick, which I think he can pin her 1, 2, 3. If I'm being honest with you, I think he can pile drive Mary Rose, no problem.
She doesn't sound like one that can withstand a pile driver.
I don't think she can, man. I'm just saying. He apparently says that his fundraising goal is he's got to go over $100,000, and he says, "I know from my own business experience, it doesn't make good business sense to spend more money than you take in. So I've said I will not spend more than $140,000 to win this election." So there you go. He gets The Rock to come do a campaign event for him.
Oh, what? Dwayne.
In 99, in the peak of his shit here. Lawler says, I feel like we're losing the city that we all love inch by inch. We're losing out on jobs. We're losing out on housing. We're losing out on roads. Are they falling apart and going away? Remember that highway? Now it's nothing. Now it's Orange Grove. In some segments of our city, we're losing whole generations of people to drugs and crime and to hopelessness. And his platform included cuts to crime and improve education. He said the way we take back the streets is with a well-paid police force that has high morals and high morale. But no one will pay them those high wages because No taxes. He said, I will see that the city schools are air conditioned. Oh, that's cheap. Yeah, let's add more to this. Wow.
Right. But in 95, you guys don't have air conditioning yet?
No. Not fuck, schools here still don't have it, but this is the South. It's hot in Memphis.
That's my point.
It's bad. He says that if AutoZone can build Memphis a ballpark, then I think other corporations can help Memphis maintain educational excellence. Because you want to be beholden to corporations with your education. That's what you want. You want fucking. Didn't they do that as a joke on The Simpsons back in the day? Like, in the future, it'd be like your history lesson sponsored by Pepsi. How many Pepsis, or your algebra lesson, how many Pepsis, if you were drinking a Pepsi and your friend was drinking a Pepsi, that's what that is, and that's what it would be. Think they do that for nothing? Fuck out of here.
And worse than that, they're going to delete anything in history that they did wrong if it's...
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they could do anything. Oh, good.
History
now we're above
brought
the
to you
law.
by Exxon Valdez. No oil spill in this book at all.
Yeah, none. They asked him, what qualifications do you have to be mayor? He said, in my mind, the mayor's basically a decision maker. I think what I bring to the table is someone who has no strings attached, no political past, don't owe anything to special interest groups or to any groups whatsoever, and can just look every situation with some common sense.
Oh, boy. Your decisions are terrible, Jer.
Wow. That sounds like every non-political person that runs for office says that. Because I know nothing about it, I'll do a better job at it. Imagine if an auto mechanic said that to you.
Right.
Yeah, I'd love to rebuild your engine because I'm an outsider. I feel like I'll concentrate more on learning those specific things to your engine.
Yeah.
But you don't know how the fucking car works because you're not a fucking mechanic.
Yeah, but I make steaks on the weekend, so
but I'm a line cook at Applebee's, so I feel like the management there is the same as understanding school bonds and municipal
in overpricing your radiator because
I should deal with the police union and their pension plan and everything. I feel like and negotiate with them because that's really what I'm an expert at. So he said. The Rock ends up campaigning, like I said, and The Rock, what he says, wow. He gets some votes, too. He's going to get some votes from getting The Rock in here. One guy here, who is this? Carrie Brown, who's 29, said, anybody who'd bring The Rock to Beale Street has my vote. I'm definitely voting for Jerry.
Jesus Christ.
Her friend Stephanie Bravo, they're each 27, they dished out $50 for the fundraiser here to see The Rock. He brought our hottie here. He's got us. That's what they said because they want to fuck The Rock. Oh, my God. Fans at the University of Memphis rally weren't as easily swayed here. Bo Luxman, 28, says he thinks Lawler's a great guy but isn't a right man for a mayor. Luxman came to Lawler's rally to see The Rock, but he's voting for someone else. So he said, I wanted to see The Rock and all, but he...
the guy's a wrestler.
Yeah. He's polling at 6% at this point here.
That's not good.
Now, Rock said, quote, it doesn't matter how you're doing in the polls. Let The Rock tell the newspaper what they can do with their poll. Then he said, take the newspaper, the Sunday edition, and roll it up. Keep rolling it, turn it sideways, pour some of that famous Memphis barbecue sauce on top, and stick it straight up their candy asses. Right. That's his fucking bullshit. Okay.
Right up their candy asses.
So they all cheered. One 21-year-old law student said that she was offended by The Rock's language.
Yeah.
Quote, I think it's ridiculous to have educated people shouting obscenities. Some people think that's positive, but if anything but I think it's derogatory and he shouldn't be able to say that here. They're at college. I wasn't trying to get my locker. I was just trying to get to my locker when I stumbled upon this travesty.
I'm just trying to get a book. This guy's telling me to shove the Times up my ass sideways.
She said that she doesn't know who she's going to vote for, but it sure as shit isn't going to be that idiot, basically.
Whoever brought that guy just lost my vote.
That's fucking hilarious. That's so funny. Here is another guy, an 18-year-old who just registered to vote. He said, Jerry Lawler's a man of his word. I've been watching Jerry Lawler for years. I'm tired of all these professional politicians dishing out all this stuff. I believe Jerry will be different.
Oh, God.
Stop voting. Please don't vote. You're not smart enough to vote.
You're not ready.
Wow, that is crazy. The Rock, this was one of his first jobs in Memphis. That's why he came there. And, Betty Robinson, 39, said she plans to vote for Lawler. She said, everybody who gets in there has been lying to me in the mayor's office, so maybe Lawler will be a little different. Why? Why would you think that? Why would you think that? Someone who's never been, accountable to anybody would probably be more honest with me. No, they wouldn't.
No.
They'll lie more.
Yeah.
God damn it. Karen Arnold, 56, says she hasn't decided who she'll support for mayor, but she'll consider voting for Lawler. I think he has a lot to offer. There's more there than just the wrestling.
Oh, God.
That's what she says. Brian Clay he says that he will consider voting for Lawler, even though he has historically supported some other candidate. He said young people are really at the crossroads on this thing. He said the current mayor, back when he was elected, kept saying help is on the way. I don't see it. And with Lawler in the race, he's the kind who pushes out any of the others who were considering as an alternative to those two. Another one said that she thinks that she said she's a black woman and she thinks that he's going to get a lot of black votes. She said they like the man as a wrestler. What makes you think they wouldn't like him as a mayor? Matter of fact, they may love him.
Oh, God.
So there you go. That's fucking wild. The mayoral results, though. He comes in 12th out of 15 candidates.
So he beat two people.
He beat 3 people. Yeah, I mean, their hair might have been on fire, literally, so we don't know. With 11.7% of the ballots.
Wow.
And he's disappointed afterwards. He's disappointed, and he goes home, and, he forgot to stop at Taco Bell, and he's just wishing some food would pop up, and nothing's there. He's like, God damn it, I wish somebody would come to my hotel room door and, to at least talk to me for 30 minutes or make a phone call or something.
Yeah.
And then a knock is at the door, and it's definitely not the person that he wanted. It's my grandma. And she's got her apple knife, and Sherry's in trouble. And she says... How is it you've come to arrive here? Ma, why are you here? Why? No, I don't. No, I keep my knife right where it is. I hear story. I don't like the story, but why you come here? First of all, I don't eat the Taco Bell. It's no good for you. Eat that. That's no good. And why you here? Young girl? You hang out? Ma, why the young girl? Ma, you old man. Look at you. You old me of... Your balls are wrinkled down to your knees. Are you gonna with the young girl? Man, no, I can't. No, I didn't bring you any meatball. Get out. No, I go. Poof, and in a poof of marinara sauce, she is definitely gone. And Jerry is and paring knives, and Jerry's very confused. He's like, I never seen no Italian before. So
she smells delicious.
Smells delicious. September 2000, marries Stacey Carter, or Miss Kitty, or Cat, whatever she's going by this week. Those are her wrestling names. He also appears in a cameo in a music video of someone I've never heard of, so I assume it's country music. Clay Davidson.
Yeah, not good.
Okay, all right, there you go. So in 2001, his wife here, Stacey, is involved in a storyline in the whole deal in wrestling here. What ends up happening is, though, she ends up being released by the WWF, and Lawler ends up quitting the company with her in protest.
Yeah.
So all this time he's going to quit for his new wife. Apparently, after that, he came back, but then left again, and then they ended up splitting up, and then he's back in the WWF. He's like, I'm sorry, guys, never mind.
You guys are right. She's
I gotta
an asshole.
go. Never mind. My bad. Stacey ended up leaving, working in real estate in Florida, and then ended up marrying the wrestler who played Kazarni in the WWF, or WWE at the time. So there you go. They were married. Jimmy Hart was there. Edge was there. A bunch of wrestlers were there. 2002, he released It's Good to Be the King Sometimes, his biography, or autobiography, I guess it would be. He collects things. He collects Coca-Cola and Superman merchandise and owns a replica of the Batmobile. Like a kit car.
Wow.
Yeah, like a kit car of the 1960s Batmobile. We're talking the Adam West.
He's a grown child.
That's a grown child. Superman merchandise, Coca-Cola shit everywhere. Wow. They said there's not a Coca-Cola fucking factory that has more Coca-Cola shit than
wagons
his house.
and like the Marlboro sponsored shit, but Coca-Cola.
Yeah, but Coca-Cola. He said he has all sorts of shit. He says, you're in trouble when you get a certificate of good taste from the Coca-Cola company in Atlanta.
Yikes.
He must buy so much shit. His newest addition here was a red Coca-Cola big button with a Coke bottle and the company's script done in neon. He said he saw it while he was in Vegas for a pay-per-view and, dressed in full wrestling shit, stopped an interview to go into an antique store to buy it.
Wow.
That's how crazy he is for
That's
this
how
shit.
much he loves Coca-Cola.
Loves it. 2004, he's got jukeboxes as well with old 45s in them, like an old-timey jukebox. So he meets a stripper at Taco Bell, okay? That's where else do you? Yeah. So he meets a stripper at Taco Bell and begins dating her.
He is Taco Bell's, he would love a punch card from Taco Bell.
Oh, if they had like a free sandwich at the end of that rainbow, a free gordita, he'd be so happy.
Place. Furious they serve Pepsi.
God damn it. Yeah, really, I'm surprised. So apparently, he was, Jesus Christ, she thought he had, somehow the rumor was out that he had $250,000 in cash stashed in this jukebox, okay? So she tries to arrange a burglary with 2 Memphis policemen charged in a corruption case and everything in this whole deal. It's fucking interesting. They didn't get anything out of the whole deal. Officer David Tate, who is 37, who's been on the force for 18 years, assigned to the K-9 unit, was charged with plotting a burglary, taking bribes from nightclubs, protecting drug dealers, and transporting prostitutes.
Oh, my God.
After this, federal authorities announced his arrest. They said that the FBI wiretaps of him boasting he would kill to get $200,000 from someone's jukebox. Essentially, Jerry's.
For it?
He's going to kill for it. He said, quote, "I ain't going out like a punk. I'll stand there and trade lead with them," he told his girlfriend over the phone. So he resigned from the force after multiple charges. He recruited as helpers 2 other officers, Billy Scott and John D. Vaughn. So they were also there.
They were willing to trade lead too?
Well, the wiretap captured Tate discussing the burglary, telling the girlfriend that he had the floor plan for the house and that the owner wasn't home on Mondays. Because that's Monday Night Raw, where he's announcing. He said he was prepared to fit one of them with a bulletproof vest because he believed the homeowner was armed, and said he planned to wear a pizza delivery uniform to case the place. He said that Lawler's home was the target. They found out. They was out of town on Monday. Lawler said, "Those guys sound so brazen. It's shocking the fact that some of our police are corrupt." He said, what kind of person would shoot somebody for $66,000? He said they was supposed to be $200,000. He says he owns.
I think it's a split between 4 people.
Yeah, well, that's there. You go. There you go.
3 people.
He said he owns an old .22 caliber rifle that has very little value other than sentimental value in his home. He says his jukebox has about 100 CDs in it, but not the kind you can take to the bank. So just regular old CDs. Yeah, that's how it works here. He also, these cops Tate was accused in an array of federal charges that we described of taking bribes to tip off topless nightclubs when raids were coming, and taking prostitutes who were actually undercover FBI agents to high rollers at Tunica casinos, and of protecting couriers taking ecstasy and high-grade methamphetamine to a buyer in Mississippi.
Holy shit.
He is a fucking party, this guy. Wow. 2007, Jerry is inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Wow!
By William Shatner.
Is that right?
Yeah, because they had a storyline, funny little thing in 1995. June 2007, he's in Mississippi. He's accused of assaulting some wrestling manager, but this sounds like this guy deserved it, and I don't even care about it. But still, a guy named Sal the Big Cheese Correnti accuses Jerry of punching him 3 times. He's a wrestling manager. This happened, apparently, according to the complaint, Lawler punched Correnti when he was on his way to the locker room, and then they got into it later in the parking lot. So Lawler said that he thought that Correnti had hit a fan, and during that, he said, while he was hitting the guy, while Lawler was hitting Correnti, Lawler was yelling, "You stupid motherfucker, you don't ever hit a fan." If that's what it was, great. He should be kicking his ass. Good. You're helping the business. But Lawler said he doesn't give a fuck. They said there's a court date scheduled, but only if they can get Lawler served with the subpoena, and otherwise they can't do it because he wants to sue him. So 2009, Lawler again runs for mayor of Memphis in a special mayoral election. He comes in 5th this time.
Wow.
Out of 6 candidates, though.
Oh, that's not good.
He only gets 4% of the vote.
Ouch. Way worse.
So, I mean, I don't know if people just, they didn't know it was him or they forgot about him. I mean, 4%'s pretty bad. You almost got to feel sorry for the guy at that point. Or maybe not.
Yeah.
You know who I really feel sorry for?
Who's that?
Maybe the people who they thought were actually on the ballot. We don't know. Who I feel sorry for, these people, Jerry Lawler, project manager at the University of Wisconsin. He also works in the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs.
Oh.
Jerry Lawler, retired IT director at the Archdiocese of St. Louis. They sound like they might have similar interests. You never know. Retired. Jerry Lawler, JavaSoft engineer at IEEE Computer Society in Israel.
Okay.
Jerry Lawler, cutting supervisor at Priority Envelope in Lenexa, Kansas. And finally, Jerry Lawler, clinical psychologist at Safe Harbor Behavioral Care in Baltimore, Maryland. There you go. So that's hilarious. He tries to run another Jerry Lawler's Memphis Wrestling in 2010, but it doesn't work out so well. I think it'll last 3 shows, and that's that. September 2012, here he, what is this one? Oh, yes. September 2012, he has a heart attack on live television.
Is that right?
That shit was real. He had a fucking heart attack. He had participated in a match, and CM Punk, I think, elbowed him in the chest a bunch of times, which he thinks might have done this whole thing. But at the end of the broadcast, they took him out of there, and then the broadcast went on.
Wow.
But he went down. He was breathing independently, was doing fine. So it was confirmed that Lawler had suffered a heart attack. He underwent an angioplasty to improve blood flow. But on the 12th, he reported to be easing off sedation. They got him back to normal. They said the results of several CT scans show no sign of any damage. They said that the heart attack wasn't caused by a blocked artery. It was an unexplained cardiac arrest.
Oh.
They ended up saying. And so he was medically cleared and he went back. Lawler says, quote, I have alluded to the fact that 10 minutes before I had a cardiac arrest, he said a cardiac arrest and a heart attack are 2 different things. A heart attack a lot of times is caused by clogged arteries or something like that, plaque in your veins and that sort of thing. And you usually feel some pain because it's restricting blood flow. Cardiac arrest is when your heart, it's usually sort of like an electrical type thing, your heart just stops. Only 7 out of 1,000 people who suffer cardiac arrest survive. Usually those 7 out of 100,000 people survive because they're in a hospital or get immediate care. He said, fortunately, our ringside doctor was right there with the paramedics. So that helps. He said, it was Dolph Ziggler. He said, the crazy thing was my heart had been knocked off rhythm, and I believe it was by the elbows. He said, by Dolph Ziggler. It took about 10 minutes for it to just freeze up and stop. He said, once they got the heart back in the correct rhythm, he said, I haven't had any problems since then, been totally fine.
Dolph almost killed him.
So that's very possible, too. Wow. There was a hockey player, late 80s, who got hit in the puck with a chest and hit in the chest with a puck and got in a game and got a heart attack. Yeah. And by the end of the game, he couldn't breathe and he was all, what the fuck? He had a heart attack from that. He survived, too. So 2012, he's in a movie. It is called a horror comedy called Girls Gone Dead.
Oh, boy.
And he plays Sheriff Jackson Cole. A group of 6 ex-high school cheerleaders are stalked by a killer with a medieval warhammer and battle axe during their first spring break from college. Wow. Okay. 2015, he's still wrestling. 2015, he beats Terry Funk, by the way, which is amazing because they're both 100. The 2 of them together are like 180 years old. 2016, he opens a wrestling-themed restaurant called Jerry Lawler's Hall of Fame Bar and Grill on Beale Street.
Awful.
And then he also opened King Jerry Lawler's Memphis Barbecue Company in Cordova, Tennessee. 2016, he's 66 years old.
Yep.
He's at home with his 27-year-old fiance named Lauren McBride.
Yeah.
He told police that McBride tells police who are called that a verbal altercation between her and Lawler turned violent when he struck her in the head and pinned her against the stove in the kitchen. She also said she kicked him in the groin, threw a candle at him, and scratched his face.
Okay.
So, now, either way, there ends up being a gun in the middle of this.
No.
Someone went and retrieved a handgun and placed it on the kitchen counter. Now, McBride says that Lawler did it, got the gun, came out, put it down, and told her to go ahead and kill herself if she wants to. And Lawler said, McBride said, or Lawler says that she brought it out, saying she was going to kill herself, and that's how it happened. So, his story was she was super drunk and he was trying to stop her from leaving the house. She wanted to go drive. Each said the other one committed physical assault, so they said, great, we're arresting both of you.
Yes,
terrific.
That's how it works.
And they arrest both of them down there. And, McBride said he got an unloaded pistol, put it on the kitchen counter, and told her to kill herself. Jerry gets right on top of it, releases a statement to the press because he knows that works from earlier.
Yes, it does.
He said, quote, when she drinks, we get into a little bit of a shouting match, and then she wants to leave. I was not going to let her leave in the car because she was not in any condition to drive. She got more and more upset. It's an unfortunate situation as a result of someone drinking too much. I'm saddened by it, and I hope we can get past this. So the WWE in its silver-haired middle-aged white man response was, WWE has a zero tolerance policy, zero tolerance for matters involving domestic violence, and per our policy, Jerry Lawler has been suspended indefinitely following this arrest.
Indefinite.
2 weeks later, reinstated by the WWE. It's out of the news, so, that seems indefinite or something, right? So, 2017, I told you he retweeted his own shit. Yeah. 2018, his son Brian dies, Brian Christopher, and we covered that here. He also has another son that does some shit named Kevin also that we never talked about. But 2008, Kevin was arrested on charges of aggravated burglary and trespassing. So there you go.
Who's the worst dad,
Andy
Reid or Jerry Lawler?
Fuck me. This is terrible, man.
Yeah.
Jerry ends up filing a lawsuit, which he fucking should have. Remember, we talked about that, against the prison. You can hear all about that in the Brian Christopher episode. But he said, the guy told me he was going to fucking take care of him. Brian begged for help, all this type of shit. He thought he had a concussion, and they told him to go fuck himself, and then he killed himself. Remember the huge bolts protruding and all that? That's all in the lawsuit. 2020, Jerry celebrates 50 years of wrestling.
Wow.
In 2020, he teams up with the Rock and Roll Express to beat Matt Riviera, Tommy Rich, and Doug Gilbert in Jackson, Tennessee. This is like the old crew, like an old 80s Memphis crew there.
Yeah.
So WWE got in trouble. He was still announcing on April 13th, 2020, a match between Akira Tozawa and Austin Theory. Tozawa hit a senton to the floor, and Lawler called it a, quote, ramen noodle moonsault. So he got in trouble for that, obviously. And
shit.
Yeah, that's just he said that he said, quote, and so the next thing, he goes off the top rope and he flies off, and I looked at Byron and said, oh, look, there's a ramen noodle moonsault. What is racist about that? I thought it was funny. That's a ridiculous name, right? And all of a sudden, the internet blows up. Oh, King's a racist. Even Tozawa the next week comes back and said, it's nothing racist. I eat ramen noodles every week. But the next week, I wasn't on Raw anymore. So I don't know if that's what happened. But anyway, you've got to be very careful out there. Or just think before you say something dumb. So he in 2021, August 14th, 2021, he beat Enzo Amore in a casket match at the Poughkeepsie Civic Center, 10 minutes from my house.
A casket match.
A casket match. He says that the new wrestling sucks and he doesn't like it. I won't even give the whole quote because who cares? Here's some awards he won from the Wrestling Observer newsletter. This is Dave Meltzer's newsletter here. He did win Best Color Commentator, 95 and 96. Okay. By the way, he was the reason I couldn't watch WWE in the 90s. I cannot stand his commentary. I hate that high-pitched voice. I get that he's knowledgeable and he's selling the product and I totally understand it. I can't physically put it in my ear. I didn't watch it for years because of him. I still don't. I can't stand him. I can't watch it. So he says he also won Feud of the Year in 87, Austin versus Austin Idol and Tommy Rich. Feud of the Year in 92 when he and Jeff Jarrett were against the Moondogs for a whole year. Feud of the Year in 93 versus Bret Hart until that came to a shit and when he got charged with sodomy.
That's a bad ending.
Worst Feud of the Year in 94 against Doink and Dink and Pink and Slink and fucking, I don't know.
And 2 8th graders.
Yeah, and a ramen noodle moonsault. He said worst television announcer in 2002. Worst worked match of the year was 94. That's the queasy, sleazy, and cheesy match. And finally, also the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame in 1996. So he's done a lot. Can't get enough of Jerry Lawler.
Boy.
Good news. I think he's back on WWE again, or they at least re-signed him. So he's going to be around, and you can go on ProWrestlingTees.com if you want to get some T-shirts. They have about 700,000 Jerry Lawler T-shirts.
Is that right?
That said, allegedly, so-called, don't know.
Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe. Yeah. That's Jerry Lawler. That's for sure. That's Jerry the King Lawler.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed that, please get on whatever platform you're on. We just ranted about Jerry Lawler for 3 hours, so it takes 2 seconds. Wherever you're listening, give us 5 stars, especially Spotify, because you can just started to be able to do that. So that helps a lot. Get on that and hang out with us. Thank you for everybody that's done that. Speaking of that, you should also get on shutupandgivememurder.com right now for all of your merchandise needs, all of your live show needs. We have you covered all throughout 2022. Come out and see us at a goddamn show. Also, hit us up on social media at Crime and Sports on Twitter and Facebook, at Small Town Murder on Instagram. You can find out all the latest news, all the stuff that's going on, and everything like that. Patreon.com/Crime and Sports. It is happening this week. Really good stuff. First of all, for the Crime and Sports, by the way, anybody $5 or above, you get access to Small Town Murders bonus, Crime and Sports bonus. Any bonus that comes out, you are going to have it. We promise. The whole back catalog, there's over 100 episodes on there. Hit it up. This week you're going to get, 4 episodes a month. You can't beat it. You're going to get Crime and Sports. This week is I'm going to do a year in sports crime. We're going to take 1995 and a newspaper, several of them did archives of all the arrests of the year, and we're going to read off all of these arrests and hear some crazy fucking stories that happened. It'll be a lot of fun. 1995, year in sports. And then for Small Town Murder, we're going to do one of the most requested things that people have been asking for. We are going to discuss what the hell happened in the John Benet Ramsey investigation.
Yeah.
We know what happened to poor John Benet in the house. I'm not going to go over the butchery of a little girl. We know what happened there. It was disgusting and horrible. What the fuck happened with this investigation? What about the letter? Obviously, no one's going to goddamn break into a house, kill a little girl, and then write several drafts of a long letter while they're doing it in there. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. No, but it was on their stationery, so it's not like they brought it. So who wrote the goddamn letter? What's up with mom? What the fuck's up with dad? Did the brother do it? Is that the big theory? We're going to talk about it all, goddamn it. It's locked and loaded. The John Benet Ramsey story there. You get all of that and more at patreon.com/crime and sports. You should do that right now. I do recommend that. That said, Jimmy, I need a list of the people who have done those things, who have been so goddamn wonderful to us for so goddamn long. Jimmy, hit me with the names of these fantastic people.
This week's executive producers are Melissa Turner, Jordan Bennett, Susanna Platt, Tiffany on behalf of all of the best grandmas, Garrett Anderson, Jovan Gant, Natasha Harris, Megan Bartmanovich, Bartmanovich, I think, and Brandy Lyman or Lamone. I'm not sure. Either way, thank you all so much. Truly,
you're the best.
You're invaluable. Other producers this week are Trina Cobb, Heather Callahan, Alex Ortiz, TJ Young, Dawn of the Flamingo. What is that word? Those are words. Dawn of the Flamingo. I don't know what that is.
Cool. Thank you.
Corporal Carl Kirshner, Zach's new son, Henry James Carano, Maddie Rydall, Swamp Queen Jess, happy hour in Marrero, Louisiana. He is a trucker, and he checks in from everywhere he goes. That's actually home. Baseball writer Peter Schmuck, that's a real person, James.
Awesome.
Barbara Howells, Nicole Enna Clarico, I think. Gary Howard and Truck Stop Murder Podcast. Steve Schnell, Sheila Wigton. Yeah,
Gary, you got heavy metal scientist Steve Schnell. These are our buddies coming up here.
Todd Theroff, I think. Soldier Boy's droopy girlfriend, whoever that is. Kimberly Alves.
Okay. It's 90 Day Fiancé reference.
Oh, is it?
She is droopy, yeah.
Oh. Is she droopy?
She's an older lady. She's an older lady, and he's 32.
And so, is it Soulja Boy or Soldier Boy?
Soulja Boy. He's a Nigerian rapper.
Got it. Oh.
Good stuff.
Christ. Toru Tanaka, I think that's the guy from...
it's a wrestler.
Yeah.
And he was in... Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Janice Hill, Brian Whitehead, happy birthday, Brian.
Happy birthday.
Kara Buerer's birthday also. Happy birthday. Is it Kara? I think it's Kara. It might be Kara. I don't know.
Peanut butter. Happy fucking birthday.
Peanut butter jelly and baseball bat, James. Keith Cole's son got him a Small Town Murder shirt for Christmas. Happy birthday.
Oh,
no,
cool.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Enjoy.
Bethany Remillard, Frank Zecca, happy birthday, buddy. He's a New Year's baby. Kathleen June, Linda Brilla, Nicole Quintiliana, Quintilani. Fuck this. Jeff Shrewsbury, Rocky Reynolds, Brennan Potter, Sally W, Devin Schmidt, Stephanie Here, Erica Candace Williams, Lisa Taylor, Michael Evans, Nicole Connery, Trevor Kirkendall, Lacey Holyfield, Cherry or Cherie Richmond, Carolyn Anthofer, I think, Eli Faust, Juan Romero, Miles Mattingly, Catherine Towns, Kelly Hobart, Jolie Hinnenkamp, I think, Sam Crouch, Stephanie Oliveira, Cooper Smith, Angelica with no last name, Angelica. It's probably Angelica.
It's probably not Angelica, I'm going to say. You know,
Monica
just from life
Lee.
experience in general.
Courtney Cohn, Danny DeVito's mom, also Danny DeVito's dad.
Both. That's nice.
Aaron Kozlowski, Rachel Sherwood, Michael Milzia, I think. Soam Realum? I don't know. Danielle Tihan, Jessica Austell, Matthew Fields, Chantel Friend, Nancy Swank, Kyle Powers, Braden Conover, Misty Day, Faith with no last name, Tess Gill, Tyler with no last name, Tori Gallagher, Jessica Kemp, Kiana Nicole, I think, Kiana maybe, Hannah Briggs, Andrew Boggs, Charlotte Moeller, Madeline Alexis, Terry Harkless, Nicole Bracken, Foamy Opals, Sarah with no last name, Holly or Haley, no, that's Holly. Richards.
They're spelled different.
That one.
So, yeah. Is it an A or an O?
I don't know. J. Isabel Delisle, Kenny Portillo, or Portillo, I'm not sure. Evan Campbell.
Are you Italian or Spanish, Chief? Which one?
Evan Campbell, Melinda Torito, Bill Hassinger, Beck and Sean McKenzie, Haley Hobday, Aaron Carlisle, Katie Thomas, Hannah Berkner, Megan Kaiser, Audio Media News, JB with no last name, Gary Wilson, Daniel with no last name, Happy Days, Allison Hoberg, I think I said that, William H. Bonney, oh, that's Billy the Kid, Christopher Badger, Mike Kelly, April Clausen, Ebony West, Michael Lloyd Jones, Steve Willett, Tori with no last name, Faith McLean Shermer, Troy Holly or Hale, Kimberly Araujo, Monica Wilson, Ashley Lalonde, Kimberly Hunter, Laura Coder. Jesus, I choked on it. Kyle Trapp, John Faulkner, Jonathan Markell, Allison Crooks, Michael of the Month, Aaron Rose, Beach Bum Exotics, Adam H., Evan Wollert, Justin and Katya, Rachel K., Ashley Ward, Colby Gabbert, Kayla Erdzik, Jesus, Chelsea Hansen, Ryan Higgs, Kara Norris, Bryce Schmidtke, Tara Gilchrist, Greg Bradshaw, Ellen White, Dustin Gregory, Brian Schell, Thomas Urbeck, Alicia with no last name, Josh Brackfield, Zachary Gallagher, Aria Guthier, Kevin Poole, Mark Belizia, Ruben Vacek, Scott McLeod, Aaron Tillery, Graham Davis, Rebecca Saracino. This is ridiculous. Dylan Moore, Jen Begley, Rachel Sizer.
He means his reading is ridiculous, not your names, by the way.
I wrote all this. Tyler Manfred, Ashley Whittick, Shenanigan Skywalker, Matt Crater, Jessica Carbajal, Bryce Palm, Darren Matson, David Alvira, Danito Allen, Joseph Tiberi, Big Dick Daddy, Boss Man, fucking Sir. Those are all words. Wow. Marcus Miller, DJ Die. Is it DJ or Die? I don't know what this is. It might be Die Prince. Alan Schultz, Kevin Mott, Stuart Glenn, Paul Warmth, Nishal Sharma, Joe. Oh boy, Joe. Nuamn. It's Nauamnn. That's not a word.
Nuamn?
Maybe. Ramen? Is that a ramen noodle? I don't know what that is.
I don't know either.
Jeffrey Fiebig, I think Fiebig, Casey Geitzelman, Raymond Wood, Alex Battaglia, Aiden Youngblood, Lisa Selvage, Frank Shelley, Ted Yaminsky, Seth Rohrer, Madison Francis White, AJ Horner, Ted Turd Thompsons, Stephanie Taylor, Tiffany Valeni, Matthew Martin, Matthew McDole, Courtney just Rhodes, not McRhodes. Smokin' Wolf, Amy Krumenaker, Edward Key, Joan Tiemann, Precious Benjamin, William Mentio, Dame with no last name, Renee Knudsen, Homestretch, Holy Christ, Don Euler, I think, Keelan Ryan, Ben Sneed, Julia Long, Thumb in My Ass, Jen Aniano, Rachel, nope, that's Raina R, Corey Lindsay, Rachel Gribble, Bridget Cohn, Shauna Cornett, Greg Wiles, Corey Balint, Todd Bates, Jess Ramsey, Hannah with no last name, Patricia Talsma Reed, Joshua Robertson, Anne-Marie Atchley, Jennifer Fox, Justine Jeffries, Jen with no last name, Luke Kenyon, Jacob, nope, that's just Jake Goldstein, Dawn with no last name, Fiona Shore, Nicole Newer, Robin Bennett, Jolene Boucher, Ivan Natekin, Omaros Kolios, I think, Wendy Gonzalez, wow. Leah Malik, Roxanne Matt, I had to talk myself into it. Matt Donges, Mario Sullivan, Belinda Richards, Sven fucking what? Cack? I don't know what it is. Bridget O'Connor, Lindsay Garrett Anderson, Jennifer Dalton, Devin Robillard, Matt Hunley, Julian Maybe, and Graham Wagner, and obviously all of our patrons. You guys are fantastic. Thank you. That was 5 pages of shit I can't say.
Thank you so much, everybody. Honestly, for all that you do for us. We cannot thank you enough for sticking by us and for being so cool. And thank you for all of your nice sentiments about my grandmother and everything. You guys are really
raining
cool.
in.
It's still raining in, and we really do appreciate that. You know, it takes a couple weeks, holidays, not everybody's listening. They catch up later. So thanks so much. It really means a lot to my family. I just wanted to say that. Everybody, they noticed that, and they all passed it around. Oh, look at these nice things they're doing for grandma. Like, it's really nice. It makes everybody feel good. So thank you for letting everybody know what a good impact she had on you guys. Thank you so much. And Jimmy, what if they wanted to thank you? How could they find you?
Oh, boy. I appreciate you guys finding me on Instagram and Twitter at Wisman Sucks. WHISMAN Sucks. Where are you, James?
I am at Jimmy P is Funny. Or, you know what? Just look up Crime and Sports Podcast. We're the hosts, and you can find us on there and follow us all up and do all of that shit.
Yeah.
Keep doing it. Keep coming back every goddamn week because we're here ready for 2022. We're jacked, Jimmy, and we're ready to go. And live from the Crime and Sports Studios, we will see you next week.
Bye.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this white Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud,
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
with a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.